are going to become champions. Celtic way, wait for the ball from side to side, and until they try to hide, the way for the ball from front to back, attack, 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 67, and then he's a burst man, the buzzing and the thousands.
Hello and welcome to episode 109 of Celtic Rumours TV, the Bawz and Bovril podcast with your host Mark and myself Paul. You can check all the links to the podcast, including our forum page, www.celticrumours.co.uk, all in the description below. On tonight's show, we'll talk about Celtic's new signings, players Celtic are supposed to be linked to, Peter Lawwell's return to Celtic as chairman from January the 1st. We'll talk about the noise coming from our neighbours lately that Michael de Moulabile is the saviour for Glasgow Rangers, and we'll touch off with a bit of a roundup on the World Cup, and of course if anything you guys in the live chat want to discuss, please let us know. Firstly, I hand off to Mark who'll talk about our food appeal and do a few shout outs.
Thanks very much, Paul. Some quick shout outs to the lads for the formal Tim Alloy of Glasgow Green, Malika, Richie and his family. Richie had a bit of good news, Paul. He doesn't need to get the final round of chemotherapy. His blood count, things are that low that they're not going to give him the final blast of chemotherapy. So that's got some great good news for Richie and his family. So well done,
especially
Richie.
Before Christmas as well.
He said that last round was killing him, man. He says he was so glad when they told him, man, just because that chemotherapy makes you feel in that.
Yeah, but it's tough.
Horrible stuff, man. So bang on, Richie. Well done, mate. Big shout out to Terence as well. Terence, him and his pals for the Limerick Celtic Supporters Club played against the Tipperary Celtic Supporters Club, and they raised their $6,000 for the local cancer centre. The Mulford Centre, I think it's called, in Limerick. So well done, Terence, and everybody that took part in that. That's really $6,000 for a charity football match. That's brilliant, you know what I mean?
Brilliant, isn't it? Liz,
and live chat, see you in Jabber. Nice to see you, Jabber. Bobby as well. Brian, nice to see you in. Brian, evening, bud. FTB, that a new name, Paul? I don't know. I can't remember that. Nice to see you. Join us anyway, no matter who you're, mate. Everybody's welcome here. Paul says the link to everything's in the description box below. Our forum, our Discord groups and stuff like that, and we do our own charity thing every year at Christmas through the St Peter's Chapel in Hamilton to help out this local food bank. This is our 6th year of doing it. This year so far we're at £580, which is brilliant. Thanks very much everybody that's gave into that. And if you can afford to get anything, please do. And if you can't, it really doesn't matter. There's no pressure to get anything like that on here, so don't worry about that. That's that, bud.
So since we've been on last, Celtic have signed 22-year-old left-footed centre-back Yoki Kobayashi from Vasil Kobe. Celtic manager said of Yoki that he's a talented young centre-back with a bright future at Celtic. Left-footed centre-backs are hard to find these days, and Celtic are delighted to have him signed up before the transfer window. Celtic have also signed this week former LLS side FC Montreal, Alistair Johnston, the 24-year-old recently represented Canada in the group stages of the World Cup. Johnston is seen as a replacement for Celtic's Juranovic, who, going by reports today, talks have broken down of a new contract. Celtic are also rumoured to be looking at South Korean number 9 Guzan Yoon, and once the Blues in his striking forward. There also has been rumours that Giacomarcus isn't happy with a new deal offered to him. and he supposedly isn't happy with his game time as playing second fiddle to Kyogo. And finally, Celtic are looking at Egyptian playmaker Mohamed Afshar, who Ange hopes will fill the void left by Tom Roderick. Two signings, Mark. I don't know, did you see much of this lad, Alison Johnson? The kind of rumours came out firstly when Canada's first match in the group
I
stage.
watched that.
Celtic.
I watched that game, you and Paul.
Mhm,
I thought he was a good enough player. I was.
mhm,
I mean, I was quite surprised. I mean, there's some of the reports it's between like £3.5 to £4 million we've paid for him, which is quite a
mhm.
lot of money, MLS kind of size of things. But if Juranovic is going to go, Paul, I just trust the scouting system. You know, they've not really let us down so far, so we've just got to kind of trust it. But
For me, Mark,
I mean,
this has
a lot of people have been like, was it because of that game that Celtic were buying it?
no,
Celtic have been scouting him for long enough. Do you get what I mean? That's Celtic's not going to just sign a player on the back of having a good couple of games at a World Cup. That's never going to happen.
no. This for me, Mark, is shown the benefits of having Mark Lawwell in a scouting team, because he knows the Asian market and he knows the South American market. He knows
Every
MLS
market, really. I mean, that was his job, to know every market. Aye.
You know, these are markets, Mark, where we never kind of went to before. We were always kind of in and around the French market, or mostly the French market. Really, Mark, do you know what I mean?
Aye.
It's really shown as what he's actually bringing to the club.
But it makes it. But after this Brexit stuff in that, Paul, as well, it's easier to get a work permit in Scotland now as well. But it's just helping. It's not helping the teams down in England, but it's helping teams like Celtic and Scotland. You'll probably see a knock-on effect with kind of the smaller clubs in that as well. But it's opening up a lot more markets to get players in that maybe the red tape would have made it no worth the hassle or worth the time and effort, because it maybe wasn't going to happen and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
Just going, Brian is saying there as well, and a few Celtic supporters have been saying it, Mark, us signing this centre-back, Yuki. Does this seem like maybe Welch could go out on loan?
Or is it they were not going to buy Jens?
Could be.
Could be. Maybe, do you know what I mean? It's one or
is
the
this
other
the
kind
final
of thing,
jigsaw, Mark, of, like, if you look at it like, is this the final jigsaw of Ange's defence? A left-footed centre-back that he wants? You know, and they are hard to find, like a left-footed centre-back. You know,
aye.
we've been saying it for years. Even when Christoph Oy was playing there.
Paul, a lot of people that know the Japanese league and players better than us have said that this guy's a project. So I still think your main centre back pairing is going to be Big Carter, Vickers, and Starfelt when he's fit. I really do.
I think, Mark, we won't kind of see this fella. We might see him in a few appearances, maybe come off the bench this season, but I think he's a sign for next season. Get him bred into the team, maybe.
Aye.
You know, and can him use him up then, kind of next season. You know, I really can't see Ange change Starfelt.
He's not going to break up that partnership with me so far into the season and that, Paul. No way.
And just your thoughts, Mark, on like this Egyptian fellow just popped up today. Mohamed Ashfi. They've been tracking this fella for a while as well in Egypt. He's supposed to fill the void left by. Do you think Ange maybe saw something now in O'Reilly being pushed back a bit more, and he wants a different person in the Tom Roderick role?
But Paul, see this guy, I don't think there's anything in that. That's not coming from his agent.
Oh, it's coming from his agent, yeah. I'm just putting it out there, like, if we are looking for another playmaker, does Ange actually see O'Reilly in the role he's in now? You know? And
we spoke about that before, but I mean, I would keep O'Reilly playing in there. I definitely would, even just to see how, because it's no, see, with McGregor coming back, he can play in the further up role where O'Reilly was playing, kind of thing, and we're not going to lose this league with playing Matt O'Reilly in there. Do you get what I mean? So we've got this maybe the rest of this league to see how it actually is, how it would fare against stronger opposition, kind of thing. But I said it in the last podcast. I definitely think that O'Reilly, the way he's playing in there, has got to be giving Ange food for thought of whether he's going to put McGregor straight back into that position.
Mm. What surprises me, Mark, is the midfield already seems cramped. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
You know,
I mean,
I'd be surprised.
Moy. I know. I gave him a bit of abuse on the forum the other day.
In
But
fairness, he had a good. In fairness to Moy, no, he had a good World Cup. I'll give him that.
he played better
You
for
know,
Australia than he has for us.
he did.
I mean, there's no
Did,
getting
but
away from that. But
was that maybe a slower team, Mark? Than the way Ange plays, maybe.
Everybody. I mean, I've on the forum we were giving me a bit of stick about it and that and that. But you can't just think he's a good player for what we've seen him. Moy, you can't say that he's a good player for Celtic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've said that everything, whenever he's on the park, everything seems to kind of, he never does anything quick, and it kind of slows down the. And if he's in that one of the kind of further forward roles, meant to be, I mean, Paul, he's meant to be playing in a more attacking role. As we're saying, it's O'Reilly that's playing the kind of linchpin CDM role. So Moyes further forward, and he's just too slow for me. He's a people are comparing him to Beaton and that, but I don't even think he's as good as Beaton was at what Beaton done. See, bringing Beaton on when 10 minutes to go, 15 minutes to go to slow down the game and stuff like that, that's ideal. But, I mean, I don't even think Moyes that. I really don't. I mean, I'd say at the time, I thought it was a really, really strange signing. And then we're adding more into this congested midfield area all the time. For the numbers, just even number-wise, we need to try and get some of them out the door. Look, hopefully McCarthy can get a loan deal even for the rest of the season in January to get him away out the door and get him some game time. Who was the young lad? We just called him back, didn't we? The young lad, so I don't think he'd be allowed to go back out and loan to another team, would he?
No, I don't think so, Mark. No.
Oh, there's rules against that, but we've got some
amount of midfielders so you can't play with
there.
3 teams within.
Aye. Within a
calendar year, I think.
Season, aye.
Yeah.
Robertson, that's it.
Just going, Mark, on these things that popped up about Jake Marcus, that he wasn't kind of happy with this new deal and he wasn't happy about kind of being second. I kind of pointed that out to you, Mark, in one of the matches, that he seemed very pissed off being taken off there one day for Kyogo. He kind of wasn't happy. Like, I think it was the Daily Record, right? That thing, and people were saying like it's pinch of salt, like, but for me, Mark, he does look like someone who's not happy about his game time on the pitch. You know?
I don't want players that are no playing Paul to be just sitting there quite happy. You want them to be unhappy.
Exactly.
I mean, and if he's that unhappy and he doesn't like it, he'll get sold and we'll bring in somebody hopefully better than him. But as I said, players that aren't playing should be unhappy. Every player should be wanting to play every week. We've spoken about how many players just happy to sit there on the bench taking up thousands of pounds in wages and offer nothing. So if he thinks he can get a better deal or more game time somewhere else, that's up to him. I mean, let's not forget. The guy's only been here for 18 months.
He was injured for nearly 6 months, really.
Aye. And now, these contract talks, there's probably been some kind of blown out of proportions kind of idea, but the story probably came from his agent as well. Basically, he's looking for a pay rise. I think that's what it is. That'll be the gist of it. He's looking for a pay rise. If he's entitled to one, it's not for me to say. I agreed to a contract. Just as you said, Paul, he was injured for
till 2026. I think his contract until Mark, isn't it? Like, has he really justified a new contract? Yes. Mark,
not really for me.
You look at what we were saying there before the break. Like we were saying, look at the misses. The 2 strikers have thing, like, you know what I mean. So if G-Max is worthy of a contract, look up your game. Do you know what I mean? Put these misses away, like, because they're not just misses, Mark. They're basic they're sitters, really. Like, you know what I mean?
Aye, but I mean, him and Kyogo's guilty of that,
Mhm.
Paul. But there's somebody said earlier on about the one a good striker, poacher type brought in, and I don't think that either Kyogo or Giakoumakis are good enough for going to Champions League, Paul.
Mhm.
We need somebody. But I've spoke about it, whether we can afford the type of player we need. That's another kind of matter. But it would be a big. For me, it would take a good maybe to break with our record signing to get the kind of player that we need in. But to take us to that next level, Paul, that's what I think we're going to need today. I mean, Sterling said 80 odd shots.
Yeah.
Goal.
Three goals.
Aye,
Three goals.
goals. Aye, absolutely embarrassing. So it is. And some of the misses, as you said, Paul, some of them were harder to miss than they were to score. I know that's easy. I know that's easy for us to sit here and say, but really, for a professional player, for some of them.
But you look in the World Cup, Mark, there, and you look at the likes of Giroud, there for France, a note number 9, who feeds off these goals, you know, these crosses, and you're saying they're like this is the next level for Celtic. Be going to like there's a top striker, Mark, who puts these chances away. Do you know what I mean? That's the quality I think Celtic need to be going for. Like, they're not going to get a Giroud, like, you know what I mean? But they need someone, Mark, who's going to take away those chances. You know, and at the moment,
I mean, for what I've seen him, Dembele's not really became the player that not just does it. I think half of Europe expect him to become the top class striker, and I know there's some teams sniffing about him because he's gone on a free transfer. But see if imagine Dembele playing in the team now.
Definitely.
I think Dembele would have been amazing for us, I really did. Just the
big that's physical, the one player, Mark. I said
big physical type of striker. I was talking to Mikey the other day, and we ended up talking about Didier Drogba, and I said to Mikey, that's the kind of player I want Celtic to get up front. Somebody like your Drogba, the big guy in Nkunku, who be Leipzig and that. Do you know what I mean? Players like that. But again, can you afford them?
I know Bobby is saying Gigi has 25 goals and 5. Yeah, and that's great. Like, but should he have more? Is the question? Do you know what I mean? He should have more.
Aye.
You know, but I'm not questioning his quality. You know, we were 23 starts as well. I mean, is that why, Mark? He's not.
Well, that might be it as well, Paul. Maybe
that's what I'm saying, Mark.
That kind of sharpness for the.
Exactly. That's
going to be starting games.
You know, that's what I'm saying, Mark. Does GJ know that he needs to be starting? And I kind of said it like, is there something between himself and Kyogo that GG seems like, why is Kyogo always getting it out ahead of me? Because anytime you see G Marcus come on, he'd get a goal or he'd do more, and then the next game, then he's dropped again for Kyogo. Like, that's really not giving him confidence either, is it?
No, it definitely isn't. I'll see if it's still on here, Paul, if I can put it up. No, I must have to. No, wait, there it's here. We'll see if it comes up. I mean, there's that thing there. I'm not sure. That might be maybe a week out of date, Paul. Mind I put it up. Right? I mean, you look at the accuracy for Kyogo, 47%. Do you know what I mean? But Giakoumakis isn't looking much better there. Do you know what I mean? So it seems to be like a thing. I mean, James Forrest 70%, but he's not played that
for the
many
games, really, yeah.
Abada, I mean, Abada was at 75, it's saying. I mean, it just shows you that there's no really
these were two strikers, like, yeah, exactly, Mark.
There's nobody that's really consistently. I mean, that is good stats. I know what Bobby's saying there, but you'd still think it would be. You'd expect it to be more, Paul.
Definitely.
For the amount of chances that Celtic create, we should be, and that was the thing we've said for the Champions League started. We seem to be struggling to score goals for then, even in the league. So I don't know whether Giakoumakis is maybe, because he's not going to drop Kyogo. He's not into as his first choice. If Kyogo's fit, I think he's going to be starting, Paul.
Exactly. I think that's all the way, man. Kyogo's the number one up top there. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think
Thanks
what
very
we
much.
said,
You very much for coming in again. You, Deef. Nice to see you, mate.
King Mark, what we were saying. Gia Marcus starts a kind of certain teams, but then we seen Kyogo start against
Uh,
Livingston, and that just takes
I
all
bet he
our things out
scored.
of.
But he scored.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
scored. That kind of flung an egg right in our cooting
Yeah,
that day.
it did. Like,
Aye,
you know,
but as
you
we
know.
thought that was going to be the way it would be, depending who we're playing, it would be either or. But it just seems to be Kyogo has to be kind of Angie's kind of golden boy, which fair dues. It's Angie's decision, and he'll live by what is it? He'll live by a fall on the sword or whatever it's kind of called. But I would just like to see us getting a really, if that is going to be Giamakis, then give him the chance to prove that he's worthy of this new contract, Paul.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I
Do you
mean,
think there will be kind of a few outgoings, Mark, in January, and like who would you think we? I think us signing Alistair Johnston now. I think we can nearly expect maybe Jovanovic going out, or maybe if he's not going out in January, Mark, he'll be gone this summer. But I'm expecting if we're signing Johnson
I
early,
think
it's
Juranovic is there.
January. Yeah,
I
you
think
know.
he'll be away in January. If no,
Mhm.
definitely this summer. And again,
And what
Paul,
would you expect Mark Celtic to roughly to get for him now? He's contract as well till 2026, 25, 26 as well. He's a big contract as well, Jovanovic.
aye,
You know, I think
he's
that's the
not really.
benefits from the signings, Mark, is they're all in non-contracts. You know, so Celtic are entitled to get a good deal from him. You know.
Aye, because he lengthened his contract. But I
Hmm.
mean, I mind when he was here all a while, they were all talking 25 million and that. I think we can forget that kind of valuation nowadays.
Hmm.
For
7
12.
million, maybe
Oh
10, Mark.
no, I'd say maybe 10, 12, Paul.
Hmm. Hmm.
Again, you've got to, if you don't say, 10 million, 12 million, do you know what I mean? You're not going to get that. But I'd go for that, 10 to 12 million.
Hmm.
I mean, do you think he'd be, I mean, when he first came in, he looked really classy. Even playing in the left, he played in the left back.
Hmm. He did,
For a
in
while.
fairness to him, yeah.
Evening, Rod. Nice to see you again, mate. Thanks for coming in. And I mean, he did even say at the time he was the best left back at the club still, didn't we?
He did,
Even though
yeah.
he was a right back, but we Taylor kicked on now. But he's never even claimed the right back slot as his own, Paul, really.
No.
And
And
I know
that's all credit
Ralston's
to Radisson, Mark, in fairness to him, yeah.
that's what I was going to say. That is a big bit of credit to Ralston because he's constantly snapping at his heels, and if Juranovic, for whatever reason, isn't showing up in training or whatever, Ralston's getting the nod. But I don't think he's really kicked on the way we thought he would, or has his seed been turned for the transfer
Yeah, I was just about to say that, yeah, since kind of last summer, really, Mark, he's kind of not the same player that we saw last season, you know. So maybe he kind of if he would have got that bid, like he would have wanted to move, and you know, I think, you know, if a bid comes in, I take it, Mark. Really, like I would.
Oh, aye,
you know,
aye.
You know.
See that boy Suter that plays for Australia? He was on our books when he was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
People are talking about in the chat.
Stoke City, he's with now, isn't it? Stoke City.
Aye.
You know,
I mean,
they
I
were
saw him
saying
playing,
there.
he looked no bad, but
He was out there for about nearly 9 months, Mark, last season with an Achilles injury. You know, and came back like he's some defender. Like that's a type of defender, Mark. Like they're not saying, oh, like Celtic should go sign him, like, but a defender who throws his body on the line. I mean, he was throwing his body on the line there for Australia.
Blood and guts type of guy.
Yeah, not afraid to get stuck in, Mark, or anything like that. Like he showed a good bit of heart. Now I must say that now for Australia during the World Cup. Is there anything else, Mark? I think if Jane McCarthy is fit.
That's a big question as well, isn't it?
Yeah, because he's injured at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, what we're talking about with Welsh, but probably I'd like to see Welsh going out on loan. I know that guys don't even rate him or that, but we've got now that we've got in Kobayashi. I should be able to say that because it's the usual suspects, isn't it? Kobayashi. But now that we've brought him in and Jens is still here, we've still got to keep the numbers kind of right. So obviously somebody's going to be left
But
out in the wilderness.
what would your thoughts be on Jens, Mark? Would you take up this option to buy on
How much was
Jens?
it? Can you mean too much? It is
I think it's about 4 million. I think 4 to 5 million. I think is the option to buy.
I think we could get better for our money for that, Paul.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
Because there's a mistake
It's a bit
in
of
it,
a
like, isn't there?
gamble. Oh, aye. It was
You know?
just. I've said it for a while. It reminded me so much of the way Julian was. But then he'd a right good couple of games and he'd done no bad. But it went back to being a bit Julian-esque for me. So I'm not too sure. What about the chat? Would you pay £4 million for Jens?
Oh, Mark, it's a tough one for me. You know, it's like go what you're saying there. Like you do see good games in him. You know, but he should be. For me, Mark, we need a centre back who's comfortable in the position if Cameron Vickers is injured. You know, that kind of quality to him, because Celtic at the moment, Mark, if Vickers isn't playing, the defence isn't working properly. Do you get me?
No, aye, definitely.
You know, and I think that's where we need to be looking at. Like you're going to pay money for it, Mark, and you know we don't know, Mark. Maybe this lad Kobayashi is another player, Mark, that we bring in from Japan, who's extraordinary.
Maybe he's going to be Carter Vickers' successor, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't mean obviously Carter Vickers plays like in the right side. I'm not talking about in that position, but I'm talking about in that kind of the style he's played. We've not really seen how this guy plays. Do you know what I mean? I mean, coming from Japan, I wouldn't imagine he's a big. I wouldn't imagine he's a big bruiser. I take he's a bit of a ball player, isn't it?
Ball player, yeah, Mark.
There, Brian saying he would take that punt in Jens.
I think he's the kind of defender, Mark, that Ange wants, who's comfortable on the ball. You know, to play out from the back.
Aye.
Like, you see there how bad he can go wrong with Matt Ryan there for Australia last night, playing out from the back. I know, did you see it? Like, but
aye.
My God, Mark, that. It's only for me. It's only a matter of time when Celtic will get caught out, something like that as well. You know.
Aye.
It's only. I suppose, Mark, that's it. So moving on, Celtic have announced.
What about coming in?
Right, we spoke about the players coming in.
But who do you? No, but what do you think we should be bringing? That's. I mean, I know you've spoken.
I think, Mark, definitely, Mark. We need a striker. I think that's for me. I think that's what we need, definitely.
I'd have thought striker would have been a priority. Well, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Do you know what I mean? Just when deals can be announced and stuff.
I put something down to then, like, you know, if we're hearing all these rumours about Gianmarcus maybe not being happy with his lack of game time, and if we're bringing in another striker, is that going to cause more kind of unsettlement in the front line, or do you think it's for them then to up their game? You know.
Well.
The Celtic are entitled to bring in another striker anyway.
Aye, definitely. And then it is up to the players. And again, back to the thing, Paul, if they're not happy, they can move on and we'll bring somebody else in. But again, every player, Jabber put up there, Scott Bain seems to enjoy it. But every player shouldn't be happy to sit on the bench every week and not be playing anywhere or stuff like that, Paul. So you do want players to be unhappy getting took off if they think they're playing well or stuff like that. But as long as it's no festering in the dressing room, I mean, you see players coming off all the time and they're angry because they come off. They're angry because they're getting took off because they know they've not played well enough. That's how they're getting took off. They're angry at themselves and stuff like that. So reactions on the pitches it's not really looking at the bigger picture. I mean, basically they're using this as because there's supposedly this breakdown in the contract talks. Again, what's the break? Nobody knows what the breakdown is. Is it our money, or is it our the length of the deal? Is it our anything? These contract talks will be in the earliest stages. So unless there's been a serious fallout behind the scenes, I kind of think it's a bit of a non-story, to be honest, Paul.
Like my thing now about we're talking there,
And
Mark.
plus as well, Paul, it comes down to Ange to manage this. This is what a good manager does. This manages these big personalities that are moaning and
exactly.
the attitudes and different stuff going on.
My big issue here then, though, Mark, is we say if we bring in a striker, right, and we bring in a young striker, 20, 21 years old, that would really piss me off because we have the likes of Johnny Kenny and Joey Dawson down in the youths who, for me, Mark, they deserve a chance to maybe till the end of the season get that chance to play the third striker instead of us bringing in another young striker to step it. You know, because I feel at the
Well, I
moment,
see.
Mark.
On you go.
No, I just feel at the moment, Mark. There, it seems to be the same old Celtic at the moment that there's kind of no pathway. We seem to be signing more youngsters coming into the first team rather than kind of bringing some lads up and giving them a chance. Do you know? I think
Aye.
that's
Well, I've said
it's up.
that, but I said that in the summer, Paul.
Mhm,
I thought we spoke about it in the summer. We thought we needed a third striker in, and it was a kind of, for me, it's do you buy in a young striker that's just you're going to try and progress, but again, it's holding back your own youth players that you've already got there, or do you just go down the kind of older guy coming to the end? Because let's face it, they're not going to get much game time. The third choice striker at a club like Celtic, really. So I mean, it's like, well, we brought in Ian Wright. I never liked Ian Wright, but they brought in Defoe, that kind of route. So it was either that or that, and they didn't. Let's face it, they didn't bring it in either. And for me, it's still a case. We still need to. We're one bad injury away from Kyogo or Giacomakis for a crisis, Paul. Let's be honest.
Yeah, sure. We kind of saw that last season.
Aye.
You know, no, the reason I said about the two lads because I've been because there's no football on, I've been kind of taking notice of the B team and McManus and O'D have been kind of raving about Joey Dawson lately since he came back from injury. He's seems to be getting goals or he's making assists for Vasa and he seems to be doing very. I like there's a striker, Mark, who you're saying that Celtic should be looking for. He's a big lad. Do you know what I mean? Like the chances Celtic create would kind of suit him.
Aye.
I mean,
aye.
I'm not saying he's going to play or get a lot of game time, Mark, but bring him in around the first team, like have him on the bench, you know, give him this experience because at the moment, Mark, I'm not seeing that with Ange at the moment, giving these lads this experience. You know, I'm only seeing the kind of usual suspects in Bosman Law, Toby been there a few weeks, Scott Robson been there for a few weeks. Well, Scott Robson's only in there, Mark, really for the European matches just because of the homegrown rule. Really, you could say that. Like, but there's no one else kind of in and around or getting that chance, is there? You know?
No, it's all down to timing as well. But Paul, do you know what I mean? We had to. Well, for the first half of the season, as I said, there was who was it? I can't even mind who it was we were talking about. Gucci. We're not getting into an argument about Gucci, but mind I said he wouldn't even get any game time because he wasn't eligible for the Champions League. So any player that was going to be playing in that was going to be get the chance if there was any spare game time going. So it all comes down to stuff like that as well. And he's only been here 18 months, Paul. Are the youth players improved that much that they're going to be able to take that step up? Unless they're the exceptional ones, the ones we all hear about constantly, the ones you've just sort of named, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's one player, Mark, that actually there's only one lad I'm actually worried about at the moment, and it's Bosman Law, because he is being scouted by teams down in and I heard this was one of the reasons he was taken out of the B team, so he couldn't be scouted. You know?
Right.
So this is why they kind of brought him up kind of in to train with the first team, kind of keep him out of the scouting radar, you know. But he is being scouted by a lot of teams down south. Like some
I expect him to be in the first team squad next season, Paul.
Yeah, I really, Mark, if he doesn't,
I'd be really shocked, and if he isn't, I think he would probably be on his way, maybe.
You know, because any time now I've seen him play, Mark, he's before big lad he can play. Do you know what I mean? You know, and
aye.
You know, I just don't want to see another player, young player, Mark, leave that we kind of have high prospects again for. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to go back down that route, like, you know, that Celtic are losing their top talents. You know, it just gets frustrating, Mark, doesn't it? You know,
But again, Paul, going back to the lads that went to Bayern Munich and that, Paul, even it's still it's hard to turn down a move, Paul, if you're a young guy and these big clubs are sniffing about. Even if you know you're taking one of the biggest gambles of your life, going to chance your arm that one day you could make a Bayern Munich first team or that. But who's to say that they'll no do it? So you can't fault them for doing it if they're not getting a sniffy doing it at Celtic.
Exactly. But has this problem kind of changed at Celtic, Mark? You know what I mean? Is this issue still there? Like,
well, for me, Paul, it'll take a wee bit of a while to change the kind of dynamic. Do you get what I mean? I mean, Ange what you get the B team in that playing the same style and that as the first team in that is, but it'll still take maybe another I'm saying I expect Bawz and Lawwell to be in the first team squad next season. So what will that be? 2 years for Ange's been in before a player actually taking the step up to kind of start claiming a place in the team. So I'm not panicking. It's not something I'm really worried about or that, you know, Paul. Maybe next season, but after I've been here for 2 years, as I said, even players that are like worth 17 are becoming like 19, pushing on 20. So that's when they should be starting to look to get into the team.
Well, he is taking the next step. I mean, the next step is he's in training around the first team, but supposedly that's because they wanted to keep him out of the radar. Do you know what I mean? You know?
That'll never work, Paul, because he's scouts, so they'll know exactly. Aye, just because I know watch him every week, they'll know what they're getting.
Is the next thing, Mark, for his development now, like we're saying there for Welsh, like, do we actually put him out on loan? Maybe in January, Mark, maybe at next season, send him out on loan for that year, get this first team football. Let's be honest, Mark, like, I know the B team are playing, like, but it's still not the same. We're playing first team football week in and week out, like, is it?
No, you know? Definitely no. It's not. No, I'd be quite. Even I'm saying I expect him to be in the first team squad or that next season. But even if it was a year out on loan to him, a year out on loan for him, Paul, I'd be quite happy with that.
Definitely.
I mean, we've spoken about it a million times, but a lot better players than we've had at Celtic have spent a year out on loan. Guys like Beckham and that. And then we're looking at McGregor and players like that, they've been away out. And for me, I do think, Paul, that it can be a kind of integral kind of part of the development of young players to get them out. And we're talking about young players just hanging about our first team. But see,
I'd like to see you, Mark. I'd like to see Lawwell
part of that first team squad in the dressing room on a Saturday and playing for the team and getting used to that. That's a big part of it for them.
I'd like to see Lawwell, Mark, if he was going to a Scottish team. I'd like to see him go to maybe Aberdeen, because I think Goodwin kind of he wants to play football.
I think it'd burn Pittodrie at the ground, Paul, if he took an Celtic player on loan after the stuff when they took Liam Scales.
Yeah,
the fans weren't very happy about it.
No, they weren't, but they kind of changed their minds fairly quickly after seeing him, then, didn't they? You know, that's what they did. Like, they want to sign him now at the end of the season, really. Like, you know.
He's done well for them. He really has.
He has, in fairness, Mark. But he was put into his kind of natural position then as well, Mark. He was put in at centre back, who we were saying should Celtic have put him maybe in a Celtic in a centre back instead of the left hand side where he was playing with Celtic.
I'd have liked to have seen him at least get a chance in there.
Yeah, true.
Anywhere else? I don't think he's got much of a future at Celtic now, to be honest.
No, I don't think so, Mark. No, I think maybe at the end of the season, I think Goodwin as well, being an Irishman, Mark. I think he's going to go for him. He likes him. You know, he's a player he wanted to sign, and the minute he came to Aberdeen, Mark, he was the player he wanted to sign.
Aye.
You know, so I think we probably see him going at the end of the season to Aberdeen. You know,
but even, I mean, the thing about it is as well. But Paul, I know what you're saying about the good thing about like going on loan to like another Scottish team and that, getting used to playing in the league and that. But
even the championship, someone who's kind of suited the way Ange plays.
Aye.
you know what I mean?
We're talking about. We spoke about the contacts Mark Lawwell's got, the contacts Ange's got. These players could probably, if Celtic wanted to put a player out in loan, Paul, they could probably. There's probably plenty of teams like see down in the Championship or England or even abroad that would suit. They'll know what it suits. You know what I mean? Whether it's here in Belgium, whether it's in England or that, but. I do think it's an important part for youth players to get out, maybe out a year's loan.
We talked about it there the last couple of weeks, Mark, and I don't think we actually do. Do we? I don't think Celtic at the moment actually have a kind of parent club. I know we kind of used to have one in Belgium, but I don't think we do anymore, do we?
Things like that.
I know there's something there with Shamrock Rovers, like, but Celtic aren't going to put loan players out to Shamrock Rovers to be tested, like.
I mean, there's no one. Where was it? Gary was for
Honduras.
Aye, mind there was one over there and stuff like that. Aye, Santo Laguna, Santos Laguna, or something like that.
That is still there with them, or is that?
According to their Celtic of that, according to this list, it was at Ostend, KV Ostend, but that's no defunct in Santos Laguna. I don't know if that's still going on.
And who's the other club? Just say is that the Belgian club? Is it?
Aye, but that's saying that's no.
That's the last one. I kind of thought we were kind of involved with, yeah. You know, because that's the first. Was that the place where we put Henry out first? Want this?
Aye, was there?
Yeah, and then he signed in for the other crowd. Then at the end of the season, I think Mark want this. You know.
Aye.
Yeah, it's we could put players out there, Mark. You know what I mean? Because
that's broke up now. That partnership.
It's gone. So there's actually none there at the moment, is there?
It's just that Santos Laguna one that's showing up, Paul.
Well, it's something. So, Mark, that. I presume, Mark, it could be in the pipeline. There could be talks there, but you kind of do need a parent club that you can put your players out there to get first team football. You know, because every kind of top club really has a kind of a parent club that they do that. You know, unless you're down in England, that you've a reserve league, you don't have to do that. But at the moment, we don't really have that. You know.
But Skomer SC. In 2006, Skomer Soccer Club joined the prestigious Celtic FC International Partnership Programme. But then when you click the link, the page isn't available.
That's probably gone. So as well, Mark, the page is available. You think that there, like what you were saying, all the contacts with Ange has Mark Lawwell, Mark, and stuff like that. Like there should be no problem in Celtic getting a parent club. You know, not necessarily a parent club, Mark, but a club that we have an agreement that we can loan players out. Yeah, a feeder club, yeah.
Aye. Celtic's a big parent club.
Yeah.
I don't know why they don't do something like that.
Even any other position, do you think, Mark, that we could sign a player, Mark, who we're not expecting?
That'll probably happen. That will probably. You know what I mean? There'll be some kind of surprise pulled out the box. But I think, again, Paul, maybe, although we need to bring better quality in, kind of thing, improve the overall quality of the squad, I think we're getting to the stage as well, Paul, we need to start looking at cutting numbers up more than bringing in more players. You know,
definitely.
You're not wanting an over-bloated squad. We got too many players sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah, definitely, Mark. Especially,
did Angelo speak about using a small squad when he first came in?
He said, he likes a small. He said that when he came in, he likes to work with
26-man squad or something like that. I'm sure. A hell of a bigger one than that, you know.
You know, definitely, Mark. Especially in around the midfield area, and I'd be very surprised, if we actually signed another midfielder, because I'm looking, going, where's he going to go? Do you know what I mean?
Aye, the numbers just don't add up.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, it's like it's for me, Denmark. It seems the squad is imbalanced. You know, too much midfielders and only two strikers, and then you're struggling then at the back then as well. Like, you know what I mean, with back up there. you know what I mean? Like, I think we've enough kind of centre backs now. With this fella coming in, you kind of have your
You've
two
actually got
starters.
too many to know for the next 6
Yeah,
months anyway, really, Paul.
definitely.
Good night, FTB. Thanks very much for coming in, mate. Hail, hail.
You know, definitely.
I'd love to see England getting beat tonight. Is that started yet?
7 o'clock, yeah. 7 o'clock, yeah. 7 o'clock. But I suppose there's no other position, Mark. Really, like this, as you said, Mark, the squad is big enough, but
maybe
you
Scott.
think
I think
a striker?
I think Scott Bain will maybe go in January.
I would like him too, Mark. To be honest, you know, I think you know my opinions on this. Like, I want to see my lad promoted to be number 3, but he's not going to get that as long as Scott Bain and Seagrass are there. You know, but then why did we give Scott Bain another 3-year contract there, Mark, last season? You know, that's another
crazy, that, wasn't it?
Crazy
behaviour, man.
You know, like, that's for me, Mark. It was a chance for Celtic to let him go. Like, for me, he's just taking up a wage.
We
knew
that he spoke to. Was it Dundee? Was it Dundee or Dundee United? We knew he spoke to them. Jonas had said so.
I think maybe, Mark. Look, some players, Mark. Do you know what I mean? Is Scott Bain one of these players now, Mark, who's just happy to play that third thing and just take a wage? Yeah, you know, it looks like it to me.
He's not going to get money he's on at Celtic anywhere else, is he?
No. You know, and how old is he now, Mark? 36, 35, 36?
Is as old as that?
Yeah, Scott Bain is about 32, man. Remember, Mark, I say he's oh no, he's 28, Mark, and he's 29.
There you go.
You know?
No, 31. 31 he is. Aye.
You know, if I was 31, Mark, I was a goalkeeper.
Just turned 31
I'd want to be playing football, like, wouldn't you?
That age, Paul, you're getting into your prime. That's when goalkeepers start with their experience of playing for so many years comes through and kind of stuff like that. So
exactly, like, Mark, for me, if Scott Bain, we say, went to Dundee United, right, and if he's playing week in and week out, there is a chance for him at the moment to get called up to the Scottish national team. Considering what's there at the moment, you have McLaughlin for Rangers getting called up. You have Craig Gordon for me, who's
he's in his 40s now,
exactly.
Craig Gordon, so he's not. He just says, but Scott Bain could possibly be Scotland's number one keeper.
Yeah, if he was playing week in and week out, Mark, in another Scottish club. You know, like, this is the ambition. If I was a professional goalkeeper, Mark, if I was in that age, like, and if you look at the international team, you're looking at the keepers were there, like, I could have a chance here, like, but I think he's actually happy, Mark, sitting on that wage. That's what it looks like to me. You know?
Aye, maybe I'd agree with you on that. Aye.
Just
a kind of, I've said it before, Paul. When your players come into that kind of situation, for me, it's just like a lack of ambition.
Definitely, that's kind of what he's shown. Like.
Even down to, like, your personal pride. Do you know what I mean? It's like if you're a football player, you should have confidence in your own ability. Do you know what I mean? You should be striving to be playing to the best of your ability, week in, week out, no matter what level you're kind of playing at. But just for players that kind of just trudge through their career and that, kind of pisses me off a bit, to be honest. You know what I mean?
Like you see, like, you look at it there, like last season, he was backup keeper, right? Didn't get one sniffing, not even in the League Cups, Mark. And I said that to you at the time.
That was a bit of a slap in my face. I thought, Paul, that was kind of final straw, didn't it?
It's showing that Ange isn't having no confidence in Scott Bain. This season, then we're seeing Seagrass get the cup games, all right? And when we did give him that contract, everyone was surprised. Like, but if I was a keeper, Mark, right, backup keeper, and then we signed another keeper to be backup keeper, and I'm going down another level, but I'm going, well, my time is up here now. Do you know what I mean? You see the writings on the wall, Mark, straight away. Like, do you know what I mean?
It's like, even look at James Forrest.
Yeah.
James Forrest, I mean, he's getting on a bit himself. He's not stupid. Do you get what I mean? He's not a stupid lad, although he looks a bit like it, I suppose. But he knows that every winger that's coming into Celtic's pushing him further and further away. But that's just what happens as you get older. As you get older, playing in his kind of position. Whereas Scott Bain's at an age, Paul, that keepers are getting better, so they should be pushing to
Yeah,
be.
this age, yeah, 31,
Aye.
Mark, yeah. You know?
You know what I mean? They should be pushing. I mean, where was Craig Gordon when he was 31? Probably lying with a broken knee.
Yeah, definitely. And he came back at Celtic, gave him
Aye.
that chance. Wanted 33, Mark, and look what he thought. I know he had, but he was a sturdy keeper for us, Mark,
Oh,
really, like
aye.
before
I mean,
Barkers came in.
we could have had
You
a
know?
lot better, but we could have had a lot worse. Do you know, that's the
Mhm.
way I looked at it with Craig Gordon. I wasn't his biggest fan, but he done us a good few turns. And Sabine, for me, is at that age, a keeper should be. Whereas James Forrest is probably at that age now, he's thinking about, I'll be retiring in a couple of years. When was the last contract he signed with Celtic? 18 months ago, maybe, or
18
something.
months ago, and I think it was a 2-year contract, Mark. I think was it 2 years?
Or was it only a 2-year one, right? But he's probably thinking his next contract with Celtic will be his last one. If he wants
Maybe
to, he's made plenty of
a
money.
yearly contract basis, Mark. I
Aye.
said, if his next contract will be kind of.
But he's made plenty of money, and Celtic will obviously offer him a contract. He'll maybe fancy chances just going and playing somewhere else, which he's quite entitled to go and do.
Well, I always said anyway, Mark. I always said anyway for about James Forrest, if Beaton and Roderick would have stayed, I think Forrest could have been sold. The reason because I think he was kept wrong was just to have that long-serving player at the club.
A bit of continuation.
Yeah, just to have the long-serving player at the club who
He's
knows
done well
what it is to win.
He's done well
definitely,
when we've
especially
caught him. This season so
this
far.
year since he came on, he's
surprised.
I think
I'll be honest, he surprised
surprised
me. He surprised a lot of people again. So maybe he's got a wee kind of wee burst of life under Ange like Rogic got when he first came in.
Well, I give him credit, Mark. This is the slimmest and the more kind of
fittest.
Yeah, I've seen James Forrest in a long time.
I know it's impossible for you to be able to learn to run faster, but he seems to have got a wee bit his pace back.
Yeah, that little extra step back.
That wee kind of burst.
Yeah,
but
that's all down to Mark having.
It's just doing your fitness and working hard, isn't it?
And work with the new sports science as well, Mark. You know what I mean? Having proper people in.
Brian saying there, you've got to ask if any clubs in the same wages have come in for Bain. That's the thing, Brian. That's what I'm saying. Is it just a money thing? Is it just just nobody else can match the money that Celtic's going to pay him? So he's just happy to sit there on that wage.
What would he be on, Mark? About 25,000 a week.
Scott Bain? No chance.
What would he be on? About 20?
No. Scott Bain will be nowhere near that, Paul.
What would you think he'd be on, Mark, roughly?
He'll be one of the lowest paid players at Celtic, I'd say.
15? 12?
I'd say, Paul, honestly, I'd say about 8. I'd honestly, I think he'd be about 8 grand a week at the top. I'd say it'd be about 8 grand a week. Anyway, he's up in the 20 grand, near the 20 grand bracket. No chance. No third choice keeper. Celtic wouldn't even have offered him that, Paul. Even if he'd been on something like that. Do you get what I mean? When you're offering him a contract as a third choice keeper, they wouldn't be offering him crazy money on it. They probably offered him one hoping he was probably offered him a contract hoping he was going to knock it back. You know what I mean?
7,600, Mark. 7,600.
Is that what's coming up? Aye.
That's what's coming up, yeah. And it's kind of.
Well, that was a good guess for me.
In and around everything, yeah, 7,600. But sure to God, Mark, another Scottish team would like that. Sure to God, that would be in.
That's probably a top earner at another Scottish team, Paul.
Yeah, could Dundee nice come in and maybe afford that as that over there kind of rage bracket?
I wouldn't imagine Dundee United would pay a goalkeeper 8 grand either, Paul. There'll be many players at Dundee United on 8 grand a week.
Jesus, man. So, Mark, it has to be so, man. It has to be.
Aye.
Down to money, like, you know what I mean? Because if you ask me, like, that's not really a lot, you know. And if he's going to take another drop, Mark, it's going to be a hell of a drop. So, as he's saying now, like, you have to look at Scott Bain's eyes. Is it worth his while? Do you know what I mean? If he's on that kind, he's at the end of his another 3-4 years, Mark, and if he can see out his contract at Celtic and all that, I say he's definitely quite happy. Like, you know what I mean? You know, definitely. You know, moving on.
He'll be a lot richer for his time at Celtic.
Yeah. Do you remember Jody Cruyff, sure, for Manchester United, sure? Feckin' he was one of the top ballers there at the time and
Aye.
only played a handful of games, Mark. You know, there's players out there that do it like, you know.
Well, there's some team players out there that have done it over the years.
Moving on, the big news over the break with the World Cup. Celtic have announced their former CEO.
The devil has risen.
Yeah,
The devil is
exactly.
amongst us. The devil lives amongst us.
Former Celtic CEO has returned to the club on the 1st of January as chairman, replacing Ian Banker, who was stepped down. During his time as Hoops, Celtic have won 29 trophies, but with the good times, there was always bad times. His involvement in the first team, too many bad signings, too many cheap signings, failures in the Champions League. The 5-way agreement and his involvement in that. Like there's so many questions, Mark, and about disappointment. Like, you know, I was always suspect of it that he could come back because he never kind of went away. Did he?
I think we all were. I think we were all a bit,
you know,
worried that it was going to happen, but I just didn't think it was going to. I honestly didn't think it. Dermot Desmond.
Mm-hmm. But why did you think, Mark? Why do you think they went down this road? Why do you think they brought him in? Is it because of his knowledge of Celtic or something like that? They brought him in do you think now he's going to be involved in more, or is he just going to take on the role of the chairman and just be in charge of the board?
I think it could be. I saw something on Twitter, Paul, and it was somebody put something up off a kind of website that gives you all the stuff like rules and regulations about how boards and that run. And if you even going with that, there's certain things that Peter Lawwell can't get involved in because it's out with his remit. He's a chairman of a board and all that stuff. And I think a lot of it will come down to how big Michael Nicholson's bollocks are, basically, Paul. Because I don't think, officially, I don't think Peter Lawwell can take much today. We think what people are worrying about. But you've got to remember that for years, Michael Nicholson worked under Peter Lawwell.
And the same board people who he hired, Mark, are still there.
Aye. There's always going to be, for me, the CEO is the boss. I know the chairman's but the CEO runs the club. So it's like somebody that's worked under you, Peter Lawwell, and now all of a sudden Peter Lawwell's back, but the guy that's under him's got more power than him. But for me, Michael Nicholson needs to make sure that Peter Lawwell's aware of Michael Nicholson's position in the way that he wants to do things.
Just going by what you're saying there, right, is like Nicholson was kind of the understudy really to Peter Lawwell, Mark. He was looking after kind of the players' contracts at the time when he was with kind of that was kind of his process, you know. But he kind of when he came CEO, he kind of knew that he wasn't a football man who knew stuff about football, and he let Ange bring in the right people into these departments. So we're kind of seeing an opposite approach to what Peter Lawwell do, Mark, because he thought he was a sports director when Park left.
He thought he was director of football. I mean, that's well known. And Brian saying, does it honestly really matter who's the chairman of Celtic PLC? It doesn't really, Brian, but it does when it's Peter Lawwell.
See, that's it. That's the problem, Mark.
This is a guy. I mean, I've not got any great
Mark,
dislike
I remember what you said, Mark. You just one point that you made before about Peter Lawwell is when he walked into the boardroom as Celtic CEO, and it was his way or no way.
It's like Vince McMahon out there at WWE.
Exactly.
That's the kind of guy Peter Lawwell is. And don't get us wrong, he's worked hard to get to have that power that he did have, and not just at Celtic and Scottish football. And again, Paul, he's got to be part of the club for this ECA board that he's on. Whether that should be the chairman, that's what we're kind of talking about. But it's just it's Peter Lawwell. It's just his kind of attitude. If he just goes in there and he's happy to be chairman and just trot along doing that, that's fine. There'll be any problems about it.
Mhm.
Just leave the guys to do their jobs and just do his job and don't try to interfere with it, because that is what he used to do. What is it they call it? Is it micromanaging they call it, Paul?
Is that, yeah,
He wants to know every wee detail of every department of what's going on, and a chairman
trying to
doesn't need to know
regain his
that.
control of the club, Mark, that he kind of
Aye,
had.
aye.
You know, that's the worry, really.
Yeah,
from-
Bobby will be getting involved in. Lawwell will be getting involved in matters that don't concern him, and that's the worry. Nicholson doing a fine job, just doesn't need interference. That's spot on.
Exactly,
So,
that's it.
I mean, I think we're quite right to be worried about it. I really do, but I'm not overly worried. I'm just thinking, surely there's been the conversations. Look, Peter, you're coming back as chairman, but Michael Nicholson and Ange,
Mhm.
they'll come to you when they'll come to you. You don't go to. Do you get what I mean?
Especially, Mark, now where everything at the club seems to be running smoothly. You know, there's a good relationship between Ange and Nicholson. You know what I mean? They're signing players that Ange wants. You know what I mean? I don't want to go back to us signing players like what was his name, Mark?
Kazim Richards.
Yeah, who was not suited to Ronnie Dyler's style. Totally the opposite player to what Ronnie Dyler would have went for at the time. Do you know what I mean? You know that we don't sign players, Mark, who just aren't good enough for Celtic. You know,
Well, I mean,
and I think
I've said, Paul, that deal with Kazim Richards, that was basically because
due to the hand, wasn't it? Yeah.
he'd attacked a reporter over in Turkey. Was it Turkey he was playing in at the
Mhm.
time? He'd attacked a reporter over in Turkey. Or said something to a reporter over there was something about a reporter over in Turkey, and he was getting into bother over that. And the ball do the hand phone Big Pedro asked him if he could get a move to Celtic for his client and that, and the next thing it was done.
Mhm.
And I can't remember off the top of my head. There was another striker we were in for at the same time, and we went for this Colin Kazim Richards.
Yeah. One thing I found kind of strange as well, Mark, in his appointment was Ange's comments, and this is something that me and you kind of suggested happened in Ange's appointment. Was Peter Lord was one of the persons kind of brought me to Celtic, you know, and we were saying at the time, Mark, was it Mark Lawwell recommended this to his dad, and Peter Lawwell didn't think so. I actually, looking now, Mark, I actually think that was what happened, and Dominic McKay at the time claimed this.
Dominic McKay did claim it, and because it did fit in, Paul, because he worked for the in Japan with something to do with rugby and that and stuff like that. So and he came out with stuff that he knew Ange for his time they're doing that, and I don't. That was another bizarre decision with the McKay appointment, but I think I think it was Peter Lawwell that made it, David. When you look back and kind of read between the lines and see what's happened from then to now, I do think that Peter Lawwell had a big part of that. Was he not been on the short list? Something came up. I'm trying to think, Paul. I'm sure I read somewhere that he'd been on a short list.
He's been on the Celtic's radar for a while, Mark.
Aye. Was it? Yeah. Was it? Couldn't have been when Rodgers was here, surely. I can't remember, but I read that he'd been on the Celtic. No, I think Mark
I think I was reading, Mark, was after the Australian international team, he was on Celtic's radar before he went to Japan.
Right.
And that was at the time when Ronnie Dyler left and we brought in Rodgers.
Right.
That's when Ange but then there was kind of a thing saying, well, he's not kind of proven yet outside Australia. And then he went to Japan, and then it all evolved then after that, you know. So he's been on Celtic's kind of books for a while, but then when we were speaking Denmark, why didn't we bring him in after Rodgers if he was on Celtic instead of this is all the problems I have, Mark, is that time Peter Lawwell gave Len the job in the showers. That's what I'm afraid that if he's involvement, we could go down this transfers.
Do you think a wee Siamese cat will be back at Celtic Park as a coach?
I tell you, boy, he's in the fucking showers already hiding. That's what he is.
Have you seen him on Twitter lately?
I did, boy. Yeah. I was going to
what a pure redneck.
So I was going to write in there the other day. He put up it's a time for one fan to answer one question. I was going to put up when you plan to go into the showers that Peter Lawwell is back at Celtic. But Jesus Christ, do you know what, Mark? We're looking for a director of football, right? And it would not surprise me if Neil Lennon popped up as director of football now.
No
Just imagine
chance.
that. Do you know?
No
Could you
chance.
just imagine this? Jesus Christ, like, you know. But do you think, Mark, he will have involved, or do you think Nicholson now is a tough man and keep him in the board and I'm the CEO? Like, this for me, it's not just a test for Celtic, but it's a test for Nicholson to show the Celtic fans I'm the boss. Peter Law is not going to be involved in this. I'm running this club. He's not going to be involved in transfers. He's just going to be running the board meetings, what's going on, or the AGMs and stuff like that. This is what Nixon needs to do now, isn't it?
But he's not going to come out and announce that.
No, I know that.
But we'll see it. We'll see it by the way. Well, I mean, is that why they get the business done early? Peter takes her on the 1st of January in the Kibayoshi and the wee Canadian boy. The deal suddenly fall through because he red tape.
Because, like, Mark, if you look at Peter Law now, like, he's coming into this club, it's run differently to where he was running it, like Celtic now. Or
Brian, I'm surprised there's not been more of a meltdown regarding Law. You should go on Twitter, Brian.
Yeah, see, Mark,
there's been a serious meltdown.
It's been announced at the right time, Mark, because there's no football going on. You know, they knew this was happening at the AGM when it was asked who's replacing Ian Banker. When Ian Banker, they said that decision be announced at the right time. And the right time, Mark, to announce that.
See if it was going to be that lassie Brown or whatever. Is it Claire Brown her name? If it was going to be her, they would have announced that at the AGM, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And the only reason, Mark, they didn't announce that at the AGM, because there'd have been uproar at the AGM. And because there's no football, no, Mark, there's no matches going on, Celtic fans can't show their unrest at disappointment inside the stadium. You know, like, here's a man coming into a club, Mark, whose poster was outside Celtic Park with Neil Lennon to get out of the club.
I know.
You know, and for me, it's...
And that was only 2 years ago, Paul.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
look at where we've came from then to where we are, and then they go and bring Lawwell back. I think that's what a lot of fans are worrying about. Obviously, we're talking about this interference, but just even down to the fact, like, we're getting on so well. It's the relationship between the club, the fans, the management, and even the board now, kind of thing. And then the next thing they've pulled this kind of, I don't know what I call it, a joker out the pack, but it just kind of blindside that a lot of people did think it and say it and worry about it, and they've been proven, well, all the kind of gossip that was going to be him, it's been right all along, because anyway, this has just been a snap decision, Paul. As you say, they knew at the AGM what was going to be happening.
That's the only reason, Mark, they did, and they picked the right time, really, didn't they? When the World Cup is on, everyone's watching the World Cup, and it's kind of, they kind of did it under the radar, really, Mark. Do you know what I mean? Kind of announcing it then.
I mean, we might be sitting here worrying about nothing, and we've wasted half an hour talking a lot of garbage about Peter Lawwell, but it's still got to be talked. It's got to be spoke about, in my opinion, really.
You know what I mean? Exactly. Like, you're going back to the times there, Mark, when we were saying, like, the likes when we were signing the likes of Scott Allen for, do you know what I mean? Players who just weren't good enough, Mark. Signing players who, like, what does this mean now for Mark Lord? Do you know what I mean? Like, if he's going recommended players, and if Peter gets involved, no, who's next down the list? And then Mark says, well, he's not good enough.
That's what I'm talking about, Paul.
This is where everything can crumble, Mark, inside the club.
Even Rooney's mum and dad's for a Sunday dinner, and Peter's in Mark Lawwell's ear, and do you get what I mean about, what about so-and-so? I don't think he's really pulling his weight. We could maybe do this and do that, and stuff like that, because there's that personal connection as well. It's got all kind of connotations of things that could go wrong, but as long as he just keeps himself to himself and sticks to just doing the job that he's meant to be doing. I mean, he's not a young man either, Paul. So maybe he's happy enough just to be like a wee kind of chairman that just kept in the.
Well, let's be honest, Mark. Maybe that's like we're worried about, not Mark, because he is a Celtic man. Do you know what I mean? And it's a chance for him to come back to Celtic. And maybe this is his chance to come back to Celtic in a different role. And as you said, Mark, it's
He's
kind
no,
of a
he's no
semi-retirement
set.
role kind of thing for him, you
Aye,
know.
aye. Because
You
I
know?
mean, let's face it, it's not the chairman that kind of sets the policy how the club's getting run. That's down to the board in general. And Michael Nicholson's on that board now because he is the CEO.
Mhm.
So he's on there, and other guys, maybe, I mean, Peter, we're saying about Peter Lawwell always being the main man in the room, but maybe other guys with Peter Lawwell no being the main man for a couple of years now, the last 18 months, whatever, these guys have found their own kind of voice.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? Maybe just even if Lawwell
That's what I'm saying, Mark. Like hopefully we kind of see that with him coming in, that he now sees like the club is gone a different direction, that he's there and his way is no longer there. Now Celtic are gone, we say, up the hill rather than staying in the middle,
Aye.
like we were with Peter Lord, holding us back in Europe, Mark. Like you go the times there, Mark, like our transfer season depended on if we qualified for the Champions League,
Aye.
you know, and which
I
like
think
that.
I think he kind of did. Honestly, we've got to talk about it, as I said, Paul. But I honestly do, in my heart, believe that we're kind of worrying about nothing.
Oh,
But we're still worrying about it. We're still entitled.
Exactly.
Aye, we're still entitled to
You know,
worry
just
about
because
it and that. But I think some of the
it's
stuff on Twitter and that, again, as usual, has been well overboard. People are making it as if Lawwell's going to come in and just all of a sudden take just what he says goes again. And
I know, but
as I said,
would it surprise you though? Would it surprise
no,
you
but
if
he can't do that.
no, he
You know,
can't because
because of
it's
the way
run by
are running stuff
Nicholson.
like that. Aye,
Mhm.
aye. As I said, I'll try and dig it out again, but I saw it and I'll send you it, Paul. But he can't just come in and like he's the chairman and say there's certain things that he's not allowed to get involved in and stuff like
He's
that.
not
So
left in transfers either. I think I've
no,
read like that. It's basically, Mark. He's kind of chairing the meetings. That's kind of done within the club.
and it's a kind of it's a kind of figurehead role into it really as well.
Mhm.
I mean, it's not like back in the days of the Whites and the Kellys when the chairman ran the roost. It's just it's a kind of mere honorary, is actually put into a kind of honorary role.
I think that's what it is, Mark. Just bringing him back because he's,
Aye,
as you said there, like he kind of sees it, Mark, as a kind of semi-retirement role,
aye.
just to be just to be back at Celtic, like you know.
The main man sitting in the board meetings just listening to everybody. And aye, as I said, I'm not expecting Lawwell to be back as the big bad.
Like Brian is saying there, bankered into anything, couldn't fit. Like, bankered just did nothing. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
You know. And
That's
Banker wasn't.
see if he just see if Peter Lawwell just carries that one. That's fine. Banker reminds me. Do you mind? Are you being served?
Yeah.
Mind young Mr. Grace, he was about 900 years. That's who being banker reminds me. That old guy, are you being served?
And he used to always bank used there. He's best. No, yeah, we can't get involved in that. No, that's an SPL investigation. No, we can't get involved in this. We can't get involved in that. You know.
He was as much a Celtic supporter as my mum's father was, and
What did you say, Mark? That he had season tickets wanted for across the road, didn't he?
Aye, through his company. Aye, through his it was a drink company, Paul. I can't remember off the top of my head what it was
whiskey,
called.
I think. It was involved in whiskey.
Aye, but I did invest it or buy it, Lemons in that, and even what was it an AGM, a press conference? Somebody asked him about his first memories of watching Celtic. He just didn't have a clue.
I remember that.
Aye.
Remember you saying that to me? Yeah, I remember you saying that he couldn't answer the question. You know, Brian saying, yeah, exactly, Paul. My chairman's in the back. Well, but that's what we're hoping, Brian. You know, that's exactly what we're hoping. But there's a worry with Peter Lord being Peter Lord. Anyone else, I wouldn't be worried about, Mark. But Peter Lord being Peter Lord, and him being at Celtic, Mark. No, in fairness, Mark, you do have to give him some credit of the trophies we won and dealings with transfers and stuff like that, and bringing money into the club, Mark. Do you know what I mean? You know, you do. You know,
but
so
when he started getting involved in the football decisions, Paul, that's where it all started to go wrong. Because I mean, don't get us wrong. He's a CEO. He's entitled to throw his opinion in. Do you get what I mean? It's still he's still got to he's got to kind of justify, no, to he's got to, the CEO's got to justify to the board, and even to a certain extent the fans, spending X amount of money on a player kind of thing. It was just.
And let's be fair, Mark. We kind of looking under Nicholson. Like, I know we signed a lot of players, like, but we haven't spent a lot of money, and that's down to, as you always said, Mark, having the right people buying the right players.
Aye.
You know, and we've bought some really decent bargains on the edge. You know, and that's only because we had a proper scouting team, Mark. We had the right people doing it. Do you know what I mean? Like, we could have.
And it wasn't just a favour to an agent that you bought for all the
we
time
could have
and
went
stuff
off
like
there,
that.
Mark, and we might have found Matt O'Reilly, and we could have spent $5 million on another a Yessie. Do you know what I mean? They're wrong decisions. You know.
Big Encham. I mean, don't get us wrong. He had one good season for us, probably a big man. But look at what did we pay for Encham? $4.5 million. Which $4.5 million back then in the day's money? About £8 million gone with inflation and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we get
look what you're looking at O'Reilly then, Mark. Do you know what I mean? It's night and day, really, like how the club is run now compared to when it was.
We'll get at least 15, 20 times what we paid for Matt O'Reilly
Definitely.
That's just what you're saying, Paul. There's all these players out there. I mean, even early. I mean, one of the biggest mistakes as well that I always had against Peter Lawwell was a John McGinn one.
Yeah, I think that was the turning point for Rodgers, Mark, wasn't it?
Aye.
That was the turning point for Rodgers.
There was absolutely no need for that deal to collapse. The only reason that deal collapsed is because Lawwell dragged his heels. People can see that, but then Aston Villa came in and McGinn changed his mind. But that was because Lawwell was dragging his heels and pissing him about. John McGinn wanted to sign for Celtic. There's absolutely no doubt about that.
The day was practically done, Mark. Till Lord started penny pinching again. Do you know what I mean? You know?
The people are lying, but Rod Petrie wanted more money off of Hibs, off of Celtic than he did off Aston Villa. He's entitled to do that, Paul. As I've said, there's a kind of in transfer fees. If you're selling to a rival,
but Mark, you see that down in South.
Aye,
if Manchester United are going buying a player for Arsenal, your competitor will pay that extra bit money.
Aye, so when United go for a player off of Arsenal, it's £120 million. Right, they're talking about that Declan Rice for West Ham. It's £100 million at the minimum in that. But if a Spanish team came in for Declan Rice, it would maybe only be 70, 80 million.
Like,
there's always a premium if you're selling to a rival.
It's like Hibs
getting to Hibs. It's like Hibs getting to a Scottish Cup final against Celtic, right? And John McGinn popped up and scored a winner. Celtic win at 1-0. Hibs have lost out in a trophy. They've lost out in the money that they've made for winning the cup. They've lost out in all the celebration stuff because of Celtic fans for a player that they sell to Celtic with no kind of premium on top of that for that reason. I mean, that's just the way transfer fees are kind of worked out.
You look at this Lewis Foxen team, Mark. If we did go for him, there was no way we were getting Lewis Fox for $3 million off Aberdeen.
No,
do you know what I mean?
No, but there'd be maybe 4, 4.5, 5.
Yeah,
or so.
5, Mark, at least. Anyway, Mark, I said, you know.
And again, Paul, and Aberdeen or whoever, just like Celtic are entitled to ask for £20 million for Juranovic in January if they want to. Every team's entitled to set the price for their player, and then that's where the negotiations start.
Moving on, look, there's been a kind of a shift of management. Gio, I think, Mark, we're kind of expecting that to happen anyway, that Gio will kind of be moved on. But since new manager Michael de Mol, Beale came in, watch out, Beale's about. Watch out.
Big Mick.
You know, coming in saying, I saw a report today saying his Rangers squad is as good as Celtic squad. Well, Celtic squad is averaging 20 in their 20s. Well, your squad is averaging 40s. Do you know what I mean? I don't
what else
see how
is he going to say?
You know what I mean? But
really, what's he going to say? My squad's shite.
Here's the manager, Mark, who hasn't won a game in 5 games in QPR. I'm not one bit worried about disappointment, Mark.
No.
You know, what did you say? Remember you said something to forum there last week. Beale seems to be a good coach, but he's kind of failing as kind of being the main man. I think you said something like that, was it?
It's just there's a big difference, Paul, between being just a coach and being a manager.
Mm-hmm.
And that's I mean, there's no doubt about it. He is a good coach, but he's kind of struggling more with the kind of management side of it. Because, well, let's face it, he's not even got the experience.
Mm-hmm.
He's only been a manager for 20 odd games. Other guys, I mean, I was talking to people on Twitter about guys I went to school with, and we were talking about guys, right? Be Paul Hartley. Paul Hartley's had more games as a manager than Mick Beale. Do you get what I mean? He's no went away and learned his trade and learned how to be a manager. And you can't see if you can't. It's like you can't kid on you're somebody else. So what's he going to? Is he going to try and replicate like Stevie G's style? You can't do that. Do you get what I mean? You've got to be if you're the manager, you've got to be kind of unique, your own personality, and you've got to believe in yourself that much. And he's just not got that.
Mm-hmm.
He's not got that kind of. I don't like to call it arrogance, but that kind of the only kind of attitude you can gain through experience and how to deal with certain players and certain problems and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're a coach, players can come in. Press is going to release a photo of me next week. I was caught cheating on my wife and stuff like that. The manager needs to deal with that. The coach doesn't even know about that. Do you get what I mean? It's nothing to do with that. The coach has nothing to do with that. So he's got these kind of problems that he's just kind of encountering for the first time in his career, and getting into that shithole.
I was saying then, like I was.
He'll not be Celtic. He'll not be their manager this time next year.
No, I was listening to other reports, Denmark, saying exciting times ahead. We're finally going to get attack in football. And then if you look over to what QPR fans are saying, they said it was the most defensive style of football they ever played in their history. Do you know what I mean? So, wait, what can he do, Mark? It's an aging team. Like you, two players who mostly are going to leave in January or leave in the free next season. Two of his main players who clearly, to me, Mark, they don't want to be there. You know, Morales is not going to sign a new contract. He's not the player he was 4 years ago. He hasn't been. You know, and for him to be that player, Mark, he needs to move on. You know, because he doesn't want to be at the club. Ryan Kent, you explained there in the previous podcast, doesn't want to be in Scotland anymore either because of personal reasons in a relationship. Regard broke up. He wants to move away. You know, I think, like, if they think, Mark, they can...
Paul, right, that's two players that are out of contract.
And then you look at McGregor, Davis, Arfield.
Who's the big, massive heated guy for Liverpool? Lundstrom. He wants back down the road as well. He'll be further off. You know what I mean? Davis is. He must be about your age, Paul. What, 48, 47?
I'm fucking really 40 about it. David's about in his 40s, Mark. I think
he must be in his 40s,
that when he was playing with Northern Ireland. I think I was like there's not. I don't see.
There you Deef saying 36. What, that Steve Davis only 36? Oh, he must have the same kind of paper round as Mikey, man. He must have been doing paper rounds in Chernobyl when they were young.
He looks ancient. Like.
Aye. I thought he was older than that. Like, so they've got these players, Paul, and where are they going to get money for?
Exactly. That's my question, Mark. Where's he going to get this?
Aye.
You know, I think he was being lied to, Mark, in his thing that there will be a budget there. There's not going to be a budget there, like. You know, he's not going to have. Like,
Van Bronckhorst came out and said there's money people think is there isn't there.
You know, and if you think for there, Mark, there are 6 players we named there that are going to be gone next season. You know, and have they got the money to buy the quality to replace them? I don't think they do. I really don't.
No.
You know, Davis is 38 on the 1st of January.
38. And Paul, these guys are players that are playing for them. They're first choice picks. It's not as if we're losing a couple of squad players in that. I mean, Morelos is
Not a bit wide.
I don't even. Do you honestly think anybody would not even buy him, Paul? Do you think anybody would even want to sign him now?
How could you, Mark? Looking at him like he's just out of shape. Do you know what I mean? Like if I was him on this break, I'd be trying to get myself in some bit of fitness, Mark, if I heard new manager was coming in. But there was Morales drinking cocktails over in Columbia with his wife. Do you know what I mean? On Twitter. Do you know what I mean? So that's for me, Mark, as a player who he reminds me so much of Neil Lennon. Or not Neil Lennon, Griffiths.
It's as if he's kind of fell out with football.
Yeah. That's a player that looks to me, Mark, that just...
And I think that's a kind of... It's a bit of different... They've came for different angles, Paul, but they've basically, what you're saying, him and Lee Griffiths have came to kind of same junction in their career.
Yeah, they could have been... They could be much more for...
Mrs. met him at work the other day. He was in at Aldi's. Lee Griffiths was in Aldi's in Hamilton the other day, aye. And here are we exclusive, I know. My sister-in-law
handed in a CV.
Was he handing in a CV? My sister-in-law works in this week. I'm not going to say where it is. Right, it's a children's play area thing, and there was a party for a kid last week in Houstot's in. Lee Griffiths and Kyle Lafferty.
Jesus Christ, a bit dodgy for Lee Griffiths going to child parties now, isn't this?
No, Lee Griffiths and Kyle Lafferty are going out with sisters.
Are they?
Aye, so Lee Griffiths' girlfriend is sisters with Kyle Lafferty's girlfriend, so it was all their Waynes over in this play area thing.
Jesus Christ, like that's a strange friendship there, isn't this? Do you know what I mean? Like Griffiths there, like he's
imagine how that is on a Saturday night when they're running out of the court and that.
Like Griffiths' hatred there for Hearts and for Rangers, like, and there's Lafferty then a couple of weeks back there calling the Celtic supporter Fenian B in a nightclub. Do you know what I mean?
Kind of. No, they're not. I don't know. Well, they might be merit. I don't know, but basically, Kyle Lafferty, him a brother-in-law situations in it.
Jesus Christ, by both role models, huh? But Mark,
I know. Imagine the two of them out in the Randan together.
Mm-hmm. So if Beale is their new manager, not heard anything since Gio left.
But Paul,
Udif is saying there. So is Beale their new manager? Not heard. Yeah, Beale is the new manager of Rangers. Udif, like Mark, if they think Beale is going to cut a 9-point lead in Celtic.
No, he'll get a free pass for the next 6 months, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think even the staunchest stadium will be expecting them to claw back the league.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. It's just
for me, Mark, this league, like as we said there, Mark, like if Celtic lost this league after a thing, I'd be calling for Ange to go.
Aye.
Most definitely, like, you know what I mean. I wouldn't accept that, Mark.
No, it would be a complete disaster.
And it'd be all then like this happened because Peter Lawwell came back into the club, and it'd be downfall, Mark, wouldn't it? Jesus Christ, Mike.
That's how Peter Lawwell would get
Peter Lawwell would be crucified, Mark, wouldn't he? He'd be crucified.
We Siamese boy would be going mental on Twitter.
Jesus Christ, Mike.
His wee ginger fingers would be going crazy.
Like I still can't believe, like, and the lads there who are on Twitter, like Siamese boy there, like how we can't deny he's not Lee Lennon is just beyond me, Mark, isn't this? It's Lee Lennon. Like, it stops when he gets this job over in Cyprus, of the cryptic crowd there, and when he gets sacked, then he's back on Twitter, then talking about Celtic again. Like, even when he was giving interviews for them, Mark, when he was winning the league, or winning games over there, not the league, but winning games, he was still talking about his time at Celtic in their interviews. You know what I mean?
It's either him, it's him and
his agent, I think.
His agent. It's probably the two of them that are running it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, don't get us wrong. Some of it's quite funny. I mean, he put up something the other day, and it was on about win percentages of managers and stuff like that. And I think he was number 4, and you're just get a buy and stuff. I don't know if he's doing it for a laugh. Do you get what I mean?
I know, yeah. It is like, but you know what, though, Mark? Give Lenny's credit where his credit too. Like, he does have good stats as a Celtic manager.
get skin like a rhinoceros and off, Paul, to sit here on Twitter like that, but
You know, they are some good
and
stats though.
you Deef saying if Beale's so respected in England, why is he taking a job at Sevco? Well, Wolves offered him a job the other week.
Mhm.
So he had the chance to go
Why
to a
did he
Premier
turn
League team.
that down, Mark? I think Mark Wolves are going to go down, and he knew that would ruin his reputation. I think no, Mark. He thinks he's going to come up here, get a trophy like Steven Gerrard, and get a nice job again in the Premier League like Gerrard did. But this is a different club now since Gerrard left. Like, I mean, Gerrard actually got a bit of money to spend. They backed him to stop the 10 in a row. And that's the only reason they backed Steven Gerrard, Mark, was they put all their eggs in one basket to stop the 10 in a row. And now they're feeling the effects of, like we said that would happen, that they'll feel the effects after stopping Celtic's 10 in a row.
Aye,
You know?
just everything went into that, the amount of money they
Mhm.
plunged in it, and fair dues
And
they
that's
done
the only
it.
reason Gerrard got back, Mark, was that. And look, that was.
But he'd have been
Like,
sacked, Paul. He would have been sacked if he hadn't been in a lockdown.
mhm.
I mean, you can go back and look on it on the internet. It's all still searchable. They were screaming for him to be sacked before he went into lockdown.
Mhm. Like, you think of it, Mark, that's in that COVID season around the world. You mean
Every league, every single big, every league went
PSG lost the
crazy.
French league. Juventus, I
Juventus.
think, lost this. I mean,
Surprised at that. I'm surprised too if the money Juventus were thrown about to bribe
yeah,
everybody.
yeah. You know, it was
They're
one
in
of the
some
strangest.
state, aren't they?
You know, it was one of the strangest.
That Juventus are in some state now, aren't they?
Jeez, Mark, there's something going on there now that the whole
Oh,
board, even like
Pavel Nedved and
Nedved,
everything
like he's an
walked out.
idol,
Aye.
Mark, in Juventus, and something's wrong up there if he's left the board. You know, there's
I think
something
this could be
seriously.
back. I think it could be as big as that last scandal there in Italy, Paul.
Yeah.
I'm reading up on it and that.
Yeah, it's something, Mark, that's serious going on in that club at the moment. Like, so uncertainty, like that's going on over there.
Basically, they're fixing the books, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
And see the thing about it, this will be comparable to what happened in Scotland in 2012. See, I mean, let's look at what happened to Juventus the last time with the scandal.
They got relegated before, Mark, because of that, didn't they?
Stripped of titles and
Mhm.
everything. Good night,
Mhm.
Brian, mate. Thanks very much for coming
They
in
did.
again,
I
mate. Good
remember
night.
that, Mark. They did. You know, I think the only
You get
player that stayed with him at the time was Buffon, wasn't it? He was the only one that stayed with him.
stripped of titles and everything what was going on.
Jesus, man.
I mean, the Italians don't mess about when it comes to that if you get caught. You know what
No,
I mean?
and look, Mark,
it's getting caught because of fully Italian football's corrupt. But if there's that much evidence out there that they can't ignore it, they will pummel you. Do you know
and
what I mean?
especially too, Mark, now when FIFA now are getting more involved now as well in the financial fair play, like we still have to see the outcome of our crowd giving their books over, Mark. Do you know what I mean? You know, that kind of hasn't come out yet. That kind of has. Not going to say it's died down, but nothing has. I don't think have their books gone over yet.
Who, Paul?
Rangers. Remember FIFA?
Aye. But their accounts will have been in when they get released the other week, kind of thing. I'd probably UEFA before that, but they're still on the watch list.
Mm-hmm.
They're just because.
So how can they go out and spend back a new manager property, Mark, to challenge Celtic when
that's the thing
they're
again,
being watched
Paul,
by FIFA? Yeah.
Aye, that's the thing. See all this the kind of way they were working with all this kind of shares to equity stuff and all that. They can't do that anymore.
So that's with FIFA being involved. So, Mark, they can't do that if they want to be involved in UEFA. Sorry,
Aye.
so they can't be involved in that. So, like selling shares if they want to play in Champions League football, they won't be left. Basically, I think if their books don't match up.
No, that's right. Aye. They can't keep running the way they're running now, or the way they have been. Because I know they've got what the accounts said, right? And they made money out of Europe and that, but they've got these kind of court cases and that hanging over them and stuff. And
yeah, so they have another one now, Mark, with the Australian trip, like.
But it's just not going to be as easy for them to kind of. You're not cheating. It's not cheating. It's not like cheating the tax man or things like that. It's just kind of massaging the books to.
Yeah, but Mark,
but if you only need to meet these certain rules, Paul, and you can bend the rules just to meet them. Every team done what Rangers have been doing kind of in a different way with UEFA.
Yeah.
It's just
But
like
the
looking
problem
at,
is, Mark,
it's like looking at Man City and PSG with their
Mhm.
big massive sponsorship deals. It's just a way you run about them. But now the ways run about them are tightened up, and all these kind of avenues are shutting down. So Rangers can't keep going the way they were going, because every year they've had going concerns in their accounts, and that new that kind of that's a whether that like for the last maybe 5 years, that's a kind of like amber light to UEFA. No, that's a kind of red light. That's a big thing if you get a going concern in your accounts, kind of thing.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
they'll need to tighten their belt.
Mhm. Like the thing that I look at, Mark, is that the Scottish FA just let them do it. You know what I mean? Let them
Aye.
sell these shares, and knowing that it was wrong. Do you know what I mean? But look,
But
it
even
all
if you
come
get
out in
back
the
to
end.
even you get back to that resolution 12, Paul, when they shouldn't have got the UEFA license because they'd overdue public taxes due
Yeah,
or
but
something like that.
did the Scottish FA kind of do
Scottish
something?
FA just I mean, that was that Roger Mitchell. I
Mhm.
can't remember if it was a podcast or an interview he done that I read, and he said at the time, he said, Celtic and Rangers are the be all and end all in Scottish football. He says, there's no way in the world the SFA or the SPL are ever going to turn them down for anything. So any paperwork basically that they sent in was just and he tried to lump Celtic in with that. And then somebody piped up and said to him, well, what happened with the George Cadetti registration then?
Mhm.
If everything that Celtic and Rangers just sent in gets signed off, how did they manage to do that? And they didn't have an answer for it. So, but
Mhm.
that's what it was. It was just there was no way the SFA or SPFL were going to flag up that Rangers weren't meeting the criteria for a European licence. They weren't.
Mhm.
It just was never going to happen.
Mhm. Moving on, that's enough time now, kind of spent on our neighbours. Thank God. So Celtic now, Mark, I think is it this weekend they're travelling to Portugal, I think, for
Aye.
the training camp. Did I read they're kind of going to be playing the matches against Rennes?
You've got a
Uh,
friendly lined up or a bounce game, whatever you want
Friendly
to
like
call it.
over there. Now the two lads have been out of the World Cup now since the weekend, Vickers and Aaron Moy. So would you think they'll get get 2 weeks off, Mark? Do you think they'll be back with the squad for this Aberdeen game on the 17th? That they're out of the thing now early, and like they're going to have a wee break. Like they're obviously not going to be traveling to the training camp in Portugal, but they're still match fit, Mark, because they've been playing kind of week in
No,
and week
I
out.
don't.
And do you think they'll
I
be
don't
involved in
think.
that, or do you
Nah,
think they get an extra break?
I don't. Well, I don't think Moy will be because Cal McGregor's back.
Mhm. Mhm.
No, I think probably Carter Vickers will get. They'll get a neck. They'll get probably. I don't know. 2 weeks off. A week off anyway. So what
Yeah,
date are we at the now? It's
like
2
I'm
weeks
saying,
this week we play them in it.
yeah, it's the
Aye, Carter
17th.
Vickers. Carter Vickers probably will be back for that. Aye.
But that's what I'm saying, Mark. No knowledge,
Aye.
like he doesn't really kind of look at that, like so
No,
he
but I
doesn't
mean
like that.
that's giving him a week off to spend with his family and have a wee rest and that, and a week back at training. So aye, I don't see
Mhm.
why he shouldn't be fit for the Aberdeen game.
Mhm. You know,
And as
because
I
we'll be
says, I
back
don't
in
think
Lenstown the week after next, Mark. I would presume
that's when he'll want. Aye, he'll end up back here.
that's when he'll end up, and I think that's
Mm.
if our other two lads, Jovanovic and me, that kind of go out of the team. It depends really, Mark, how far they're actually going to progress.
Aye.
You know, I mean, you can't kind of say Croatia going out early because Croatia are, for me, Mark, they're a team, they're a nation, Mark, who kind of always kind of are in and around the quarterfinals, the semi-finals.
Aye,
You know.
they're just always a kind of bridesmaid, isn't it? Never the
Mhm.
bride. They're always there at the kind of business end, but never
Mhm.
do much.
Mhm.
Where is it? I'm just having a look where we're actually at with that.
I think
The
it's the
World Cup.
17th, is it? When's it finishing up, actually, Mark, the World
It
Cup,
finished
actually?
the World Cup finals in the 18th.
And
So
we're
that's the day
back
we.
playing the 17th, are we?
No, it's the 18th. Is it no the 18th we play?
The 18th we play against Aberdeen, I think, isn't it? Aberdeen's is our next match
No,
back,
it's the
isn't it?
17th. The 17th half 12 kick-off. We play Aberdeen.
hmm
So
And
it's the
when's the
day
World
after
Cup
that.
final?
The World Cup finals on the Sunday. The day after that.
Wow.
Well,
I presume, like look, if our players aren't involved in that friendly, Mark, depending how long they, like if our next two players go out on tomorrow and Tuesday, I think.
The two of them can't get.
No, is it
They're
Croatia
playing
playing
each
Japan?
other.
Oh,
Aye,
Japan.
aye,
Yeah,
aye. So
yeah.
the two of them
Croatia,
can't
Japan.
get.
Yeah, but
I fancy
if Croatia
Japan
get
for
to the
that, to be
quarterfinals,
honest.
Mark, if they the longer they win the World Cup, we said that the more of a rest they're going to get. Really, that's what I'm trying to say. Jesus
Right,
Christ, Bob.
aye,
Complicate
aye.
yourself there.
I
Do you know
see
what I mean?
if Japan get to the final, Maeda will still no get. He'll well,
Mhm.
obviously, because the game's not to the 18s, but he'll get
Do you know
time
what
off.
though,
Aye,
Mark? Do you know what? I've said about Japan, and a lot of people are saying it, Mark. They're impressing in this World Cup.
for what I've
You know,
seen of them, aye.
they really really have, like, there's a spirit, like everyone is saying it, Mark. There's a spirit within this Japan team that you know we don't see enough of them, Mark. We're not seeing enough of these. Like look at Morocco. Do you know what I mean? Like
Look at
Germany
Saudi
getting knocked out.
Arabia.
Yeah, you know, like these are
Some,
teams.
that's Saudi Arabia had some right cracking players in their team.
Definitely. Do you know who impressed me, Mark, in this World Cup? And I actually don't know the value of him, like, but is the fella Zimmerman, for USA, their centre back who played with Vickers in he was Vickers centre. He played centre back with Vickers. He's 29 years old. He actually plays in the US as well. You know,
Zimmerman.
yeah, Zimmerman. Yeah, yeah. I was very impressed with him at centre back for USA. He just looked like a proper defender, no nonsense defender, Mark. Do you know
Aye.
what I mean? You know, and he's playing the US, Mark. I don't
It's
know,
because of
Mark.
the man bun. It's because he's got a man bun.
Yeah, definitely. But
That's how
did you
you in
see?
it.
Did you see him play though?
Aye, aye, aye. Now that I've
You
seen the
know,
picture, I know who you're talking about. Aye.
yeah. Just to see, I was actually very impressed with him throughout this whole campaign. I was actually impressed by USA, but the Dutch, they were just too much for me yesterday. You know what? You can't write off Holland. Looking at them yesterday, Mark, you can't write off Holland to win this World Cup either. You know,
No, no. They've,
no
they've,
one,
Holland
no one
usually
has.
kind of implode
Yeah.
in the latter stages, but I don't know if that's going to happen this time. They kind of seem. I wouldn't say they're a great team, Paul, but that's it. They're a good team. That's the kind of
Mhm.
teams that can
Mhm.
win the World Cup together. I mean, they're a good all-round team, and
Mhm.
I mean, some of their players. I saw one of their goals they scored the other day. It was an absolute screamer, man. It must have
But
been about
this,
25 passes, Paul. Did you
it
see it?
was, yeah,
Aye.
really was, yeah, really was, Mark. You know, but I'm
And there's
looking
no,
at there,
it
Mark.
doesn't look. There's no egos in that Dutch. That was one of the problems with the Dutch team for years as well. There was always big egos in it, and that
Mhm.
they
Mhm.
clashed. And there was, for me, there was always kind of racial undertones with the Dutch team. Always kind of split into the black guys and the coloured and the white guys camps kind of thing. That was always a thing they done. But they seem to be a right good, well-rounded team.
Mhm.
But I think France will be there
I
or
was just about to say
thereabouts.
to
I
Mark,
think.
I backed France from the start there, and they're going on about this is Messi's last World Cup, and they're talking about Ronaldo, but you have to look at Mbappe. You know, your man
Aye,
is just getting better and better each game he's playing for France. His two goals there today was just. Oh, I know now the Poland struggled, and look, I've said it to you, Mark. Poland only kind of have one way of playing, and that's getting the ball to Lewandowski. And if they
aye,
don't feed Lewandowski, Poland won't win. And that's been their problem in this World
aye.
Cup. They tried to get the ball to Lewandowski, and it just wasn't working for them. But
But any
you
any
look,
team with Lewandowski in it, Paul, that's their aiming
hmm
to. It's just they've got
hmm
like at club level, they've got better players dates supplying them, and
yeah,
that's the
that's it.
that's the difference.
Yeah, that's it, Mark. That's just the difference. You look in Barcelona, how Barcelona have the players to supply Lewandowski with the ball. Do you know what I mean? When Poland don't
Aye,
have it, do you know what I mean? But for me, I just think the team so far, like, is flat. Like, I know now they lost their last game, but they were already qualified. They pull in kind of a practically different 11. Do you know what I mean?
aye,
You
France,
know,
aye,
yeah,
aye.
but you can't look past France at the moment, Max. You can't. You know. They've strength all over the team.
Spain have looked no bad as well,
Yeah.
to be honest, as well. They're always kind of thereabouts. But, I mean, Germany, let's get on with Germany. 2 World Cups in a row, popped out and grouped in the first.
Seems like a football nation, Mark, that's in serious trouble, isn't it? You know,
It's just...
they're not kind of producing the players either, Mark, like they had before. Like, you look at the fella Klogsa from, you know, you had Klinsmann growing up when you were, they always had big players coming in. Striker, Mark, in his prime was a big player from, you know what I mean? Ballack.
I can mean Karl-Heinz Rummenigge in that playing for them, you know what I mean? Some of the best players I've ever had. And,
but they don't seem to be...
I mean, they have Germany, they get into every World Cup thing. It's a bit like England. They get into every tournament and think they can win it. But for years, for most of my life, Paul, Germany's always kind of delivered. You get what I mean? Again, we're talking about teams that have always been there or thereabouts, and Germany's always been there or thereabouts when it comes in big tournaments. And I mean, for them to get grouped in 2 World Cups in a row, that's shocking. They'll be...
Especially for the Germans, Mark, because...
but
they haven't been kind of producing players either, Mark, have they?
But Germany, they done it a while back. They went through a bad spell a while ago, and that's when they kind of re-kicked it on and restarted it, and the Bundesliga started kind of becoming, as I've said, Paul, I think the Bundesliga is the best league in the world by far. But they changed a lot of the stuff, and they brought in how the youth setup was going to change and not just for the good one club like Bayern, but for every team. That's where the strength comes from. The Germans will regroup and come back, whereas it happens to Scotland and it just comes back to, well, that's just us, isn't it? And then the other, I mean, everybody else, that's Belgium team. Everybody's went crazy about this Belgium team for 5, 6, 8 years, and they've done hee-haw.
Well, there were supposed to be first problems in that Belgium team, weren't there? At this World Cup, wasn't there? Like, players coming out freaking saying stuff about other players, like saying he's too old, and as if Vertonghen then came out saying Kevin Bryan is not the same player for Man City he is for, like, Belgium there's always this expectancy of Belgium to do well, Mark, but you look at them, they've all the talent in the world, but it just doesn't work. They just can't play together.
Paul, look at who their coach has been for the last 6 to 8 years or whatever. Martinez. That's been the problem with Belgium. Without a doubt in my mind. That's been the biggest problem in Belgium. I don't know how he's held on to that job for so long. See, if Belgium had went and got a top coach in, they would have probably maybe not won trophies, but they'd have been closer than they have been, Paul. Everybody waxes lyrical about this great Belgium team. It's not a great Belgium team. It's a box of action, man, heads. It's square pegs and round holes and stuff like that. It's just, I said to you, Paul, Belgium wouldn't do anything in this.
No, you did, Jack. You did.
Because it's just the same. Martinez can't set up a defensive team. He can't set up, no, I don't mean a defensive team. He can't set up how to defend. He can't set up the defensive unit of the team. That was his problem at Wigan. It was his problem at Everton.
Yeah, sure, they got relegated that time, weren't they? They were the first team to win the FA Cup at the time, then get relegated, weren't they?
Aye, even with his Vincent Kompany, his main man in defence, they were still garbage. So,
I think, could you see there's talks maybe Van Gaal will go because his contract is up. But for me, Van Gaal should have been there maybe 3 or 4 years ago when these group of players were there. Do you know what I mean? Someone who would give them proper instructions.
Aye, that would have been ideal, Paul. You know, a guy like Van Gaal. Aye, definitely. That would have been ideal for Belgium.
The time, as you said, Mark.
It was weird even why he had the job, Paul. I mean, it's not as if he was for Belgium.
No, Spanish, indeed. Martinez.
So it was weird that he got it, and I just think it was really just weird that he held on to it for so long.
6 years, Mark. 6 years he's been there. I read it there. 6 years he's been there. And
he's kind of killed that golden generation of Belgian players. He
definitely,
really has, Paul.
Because who was I listening to? I was actually the RTE, Mark, because I watched on the RTE here, the World Cup here, and it was actually Liam Brady was saying it, like, like this team should have won the last World Cup. and for some reason they didn't. And he's going back to say Brady went back practically saying it as you is that they had an average manager in charge of the team who didn't do well at his time at Everton when he went to Everton, didn't do well. And he thought he could do it at international level, but he couldn't control top players at Everton. So how could he think he could control top players in Belgium who were actually in their prime? 4 years ago, Mark, they were in their prime. You know, you could say at the time, Mark, 4 years ago, Mark, like Kevin Boyne, Mark, you can't diss it like he's a top player.
Oh, I love KDB. Love him.
Do you know what I mean?
Even in FIFA, even one of my favourite players on FIFA, Paul.
You know, but then he was saying they needed someone in there who had a football intelligence to give a player like Kevin De Bruyne that control on the pitch, but it just never happened. You know, never happened, Mark. And for Belgium to win a World Cup, Mark, that was their best chance. For them to say Denmark, to say like what you said there, like for people to put Belgium up as one of the favourites for this World Cup, what are you looking at? Vertonghen's nearly 34, 35 years of age now. Do you know what I mean? You know, they would have got beaten more, Mark, if it was only for Timmy Courtois on goal. You know?
But it's like people, Paul, that I don't think Argentina are going to win the World Cup. But I've always wanted them to do it. Do you know that?
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. But it's like a lot of people only pick them because of Messi or Portugal would win it because of Ronaldo.
Mm-hmm.
Belgium had a team that were more than capable, a full team. Do you get what I mean? They didn't just have one superstar.
No, they didn't have one. Yeah, exactly, Mark. They didn't. They had a wall of talent at their disposal, but with an average manager. You know, it's just like that was their chance. Like, you know what I mean? It was what did you say, Mark? What you call it? The golden generation.
Aye.
That they had to do something in the World Cup 4 years ago. You know, but they just crumbled, Mark. And I think this World Cup, Mark, for them has been nothing but a disaster. Things coming out of that dressing room, like saying,
just embarrassing.
It really has, Mark. Do you know what I mean? It reminds you of the French a couple of years back. Remember when Patrice Evra and them all were there and fucking players were getting sent home at the time and everything. Remember that?
Aye.
Players were getting sent home and, you know.
All these egos take on.
Yeah, but
I mean, you've got to think, I'm talking as well, Paul, when I was talking about managers with egos in the dressing room. You think about the egos at international dressing rooms.
Definitely.
Because it's the best of the best for your country.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're talking about Portugal, right? Ronaldo's the main man, but there's also all these other, I mean, that Pepe guy in that. I mean, his ego's off the scale.
Pepe's off the scale altogether, Mark. Do you know what I mean?
Do you get what I mean? So you've got all these massive egos that you've got to try and keep happy for what, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and it's a hard thing to do to be an international manager, but for the reason that it's no full time, Paul, and that it's just the best of the best you're dealing with all the time, and what comes with that, the jealousies between players and money and who's the main man and who's got what deals and stuff like that, because plays a big part when it comes into the World Cups and that as well.
So what about, like, I know he's kind of came out there and said it's not as bad as it looked like, but the last couple of days rumours started saying like Pele isn't in health. He suppose he isn't in health, but that could actually be a motivation as well, Mark, for Brazil to go on and win this World Cup for Pele.
It might be. I wasn't that impressed with them, Paul, what I seen of them.
No.
They've no kind of, I don't know.
It's
people have got a kind of unexpected, kind of hyped up expectation of Brazil, Paul. We expect this kind of fancy samba,
that's
fancy
gone, Mark,
fix. You don't get that. Aye, you don't get teams like that anymore. But everybody expects that, and I think Brazil have become a bit more like European.
Yeah,
probably in their approach to
but
to
that's
the
what
game.
they're saying, Mark. That's what they were saying. I was watching actually. Sorry, just take a drink there. I was watching the show that there on BBC was a documentary about Messi. And for years, the Argentina press were on Messi's back because they've won nothing, Mark. Like, this is the player who they thought would bring them the World Cup, or he'd bring them the Copa America. But then one commentator came out and he says Messi can't play with Argentina because he spent his whole life in Europe, played the way Europeans played football, and then he's coming into this South American international team who a lot of the players, Mark, played in South America. And they were saying that Messi just couldn't perform at the level he does for Argentina than he did at the time when he was at Barcelona, his prime. You know, that he just couldn't adjust to the way they were playing. Would you think that was a fair assessment on that?
Aye, because he's no like they're kind of Maradona types of player. I mean, don't get us wrong, Messi's one of the best players of all time, but he's not like your kind of Maradona. It's not him that controls the game. You know what I mean? Although Maradona played in Europe for most of his career as well, but he was the main man, so it was what he done that kind of counted for the way the Argentinian full team played. Whereas Messi's, he's not your playmaker. So he's not got that kind of influence on the team to play the game the way he wants. So he's always been a wee bit a kind of spare part in the Argentina team. So I don't know what the boy's saying with that. Aye.
No, make a bit of sense, and it's true what you said there as well. Like, it just, that was the reason why we thought that there's so many Brazilians now, Mark, in that Brazilian team that are playing in Europe that are not playing in South America. They're more of a European team rather than this flair of a Brazil team, Mark, that I remember, like the Italia 90 and USA 94, when you had Ronaldinho there, who was, for me, Mark, one of the best players ever to play the game that I saw was Ronaldinho. You know what I mean? What he could do with a ball, Mark, was just unbelievable. Like, they don't have that player. Like, Neymar.
I remember 82, Spain 82, Paul. It was Socrates, Zico, Junior, Elder, and that, and it was it blew out my pals, it blew our mind watching these guys play football. We'd never seen anything like it in my life, do you know what I mean? And it just says it's more because players are probably out here playing week in, week out. The coaches got to kind of adapt the system to get the players doing what they're used to doing. But it takes a lot of the personality out the World Cup when you're not seeing these kind of characters in that now, I think, as well.
Yeah, things like, and I think that's what's been kind of the most, like, with the group stages, Mark, is the underdogs seem to be doing well. Like, no one expected really Japan to get out of this group between Germany and Spain. Everyone expected Germany and Spain because of what you're saying there, Mark. We're so used to seeing Spain and Germany kind of play, but we never kind of seen Japan. But we kind of got a hint what kind of way Japan would play because of our lads. But
that's Paul. That was the magic of the World Cup years ago.
Yeah, was the underdogs, Mark.
Because, not just underdogs, but it was like, even back then, there wasn't much. It was dependent on what teams were like playing in Europe, if you know what I mean, Paul. What kind of thing, who you actually seen in the telly. But then all of a sudden the World Cup came about, and all these players that you'd never heard of, places like even Germany, Spain, and stuff like that. Because they weren't on the telly all the time, Paul.
No,
it was only Celtic. If Celtic were playing some team, that's how you saw another player for another country, basically. And then you saw these players and the way they played the game, and you get caught up in it and that, but there's that much football in the telly now, and we know basically all the players, especially in Europe, Paul. But then these teams for Africa, Japan, they pop up, and it's guys, although there is players that play in the big leagues, but there's a lot of players there that we don't recognise, we've never heard of, we've never seen them, kind of thing.
Mark, but look at the players who are playing in this Japan team, Mark, that are playing in this league.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? And they've been very impressive, haven't they? You know, same with South Korea. Do you know what I mean? They have a lot of. Do you know what I mean?
I think what Senegal. I know England.
What's the score there actually?
I think it was 2-0. I saw somebody put in the chat, Paul.
England, is it?
I was surprised at that because I thought Senegal would have given them a right better game than that. But even some of the upsets in that, it has got a wee bit of that kind of old-fashioned World Cup fever back.
Really has. Really
As I
has,
said, I
Mark.
thought, but when it comes to the crunch, Paul, I mean, let's hold on, I'll have a wee look what we've got here. Right, so we've got the Netherlands against Argentina. Right, that's the next quarter
That's a
final.
good. That's a good game.
Aye, we've got the winner of Japan and Croatia playing the winner of Brazil and South Korea.
England
So,
will guess France.
so who do you think out of that? Japan and Croatia? I'm going to say Japan.
I think so, Mark. Yeah, but I think, Mark,
So it'll be Japan v Brazil.
you know, I don't think Croatia, Mark, could
England,
keep up with the intensity that Japan would play. I really don't. You know,
England v France, and I'd say Portugal will end up playing Spain in the other one. So really, I mean, the only surprise there, Paul, is going to be Japan
hmm
or Japan or Croatia. Really,
hmm
isn't it? Going into that next round. So really, that's the only surprise. And it was, as we said, it was Spain or Germany we were expecting in that draw.
yeah, exactly.
So
You know,
there's been one upset, really, really. I mean, so we're going to have Holland, Argentina, England, France, and Spain, Portugal, and Brazil against either Japan or Croatia. The only surprise here, Paul, really is the Japan and Croatia, isn't it?
hmm
If you
yeah,
to pick what teams through all the groups was going to end up in these games, the only surprise is one of them's going to be Japan or Croatia.
Japan, yeah,
You'd have put
Japan.
Germany in there. See if you'd put Germany in there that everybody expected. That would have been just so predictable.
As norm, Mark,
Isn't
wouldn't it?
it?
Yeah, yeah,
Do
as
do
norm,
you
like,
know what I
yeah,
mean by that? Aye,
the top
aye,
nations inside
aye.
the end of the thing, like, But the
You
thing
could
that,
have predicted who that was going to be there if they'd just done that.
like you were saying there, Mark, like what's going on with Germany, but you could say the same as well. Like, this is the first World Cup, Mark, that I ever kind of watched that the Italians aren't in. Do you mean I even like just after winning the European Championships and then getting knocked out in the playoffs by Macedonia
I
at the
know.
time? Yeah, that was one. I think looking at this whole World Cup, like outside it, that has been one of the biggest upsets in the World Cup was the Italians getting knocked out.
Not
It
getting
really
through.
has. Yeah, it's like I can never remember a World Cup without picking the Italians in it. They've always been there. Like you expect
They
if the
didn't get in the
Italians were in
they
this
didn't
World
get in
Cup,
the last one either.
didn't they?
No, they weren't. I don't think you get into the Russia one, Paul.
No, because Mancini came in after that, didn't he, to fix it all up, didn't he? And he won the European Championships then, and then they thought, oh, the Italians are back, didn't they? And then it just fucking all
They never,
crumbled then
they
against
didn't,
Macedonia,
that's two World Cups in a row they've missed.
Yeah, so
They're
that's another.
two World Cups in a row that they've missed, and two World
hmm
Cups in a row that Germany's been out in the first round.
Yeah, yeah. You know what I mean? Fucking hell, like two big footballing nations, Mark.
But it just shows you, Paul, how all these so-called weird countries and that are actually getting better.
Yeah, so Mark, we could look.
I mean, see, really, from what I've seen the World Cup, that Qatar, they were the worst team in it. And the only reason they were in it is because they were the hosts.
Exactly.
But see when these World Cups come around and that, you can see every year how these kind of so-called lesser nations are getting better and better and better. It's only a matter of time before an African team or something like that pops up and wins the World Cup.
I would
It
agree.
really is. I thought for a while, who was it, Big Drogba and Yaya Toure and that played with
Nigeria.
Ivory Coast.
Mark, yeah, that was that.
I thought they could maybe have won the World Cup. Well, maybe that one, the last one, or the one before, or something like that, maybe. But it's just a matter of time because all these other wee nations are catching up with us, and we can even see that, Paul, in Scotland with Celtic when we get into Europe.
I was just about to say that.
These wee nations that we kind of used to brush off in that, but
we think, Mark, that we could have beat them, like, but as you said there, like, they're getting better and better. We're actually lucky, really, Mark, that for the next 2 seasons we have the qualification. Is it next season and the season after we still qualify, isn't it? Automatically, as it just one more season?
It's definitely one more season, Paul, but the next season I'm not 100% sure. Because of the coefficient, and I think that's the year that the qualification changes.
And Scotland comes into that now as well, doesn't this football team? No. Or is it just the two clubs, Rangers, Celtic? No, we did. Rangers, Celtic, Hearts.
No, it's just
And
all the Scottish teams'
yeah,
coefficients that will
yeah.
come into
Jesus
determine
Christ.
that.
Yeah, we didn't. None of the Scottish kind of teams, Mark, kind of did ourselves kind of proud to keep that coefficient up, did we? You
No,
know?
no, none of us, Paul. But us, the ones across the road, Hearts, none of them really done anything really.
You know?
And
Exactly.
again, that just shows again, Paul, about how these weird leagues are catching up.
Mm-hmm. You know, 'cause, like that's another thing now. So, Mark, like it's going to be back to the qualifiers, like back early, and like we've seen the benefits of not having it this season.
Aye,
Do you know what I mean? You come back to train July, you've no games in qualifiers. You have to get your squad ready for the season ahead. I mean, in a year's time, Mark, we're going to be back practically playing for qualifying in July again. Do you know what I mean? You know,
I don't think it'll be as bad as
I think
that, Paul.
is it the third round or third round? I think Celtic would fall into, Mark. I think, isn't it?
But it
You
depends
know,
again what we do next year, doesn't it?
true.
But,
You know, and is it two going this season as well? Like, would the second place team have to go through the qualifiers now, like Celtic did, like Rangers did
the
this season?
second team needs to qualify, Paul.
Yeah,
I'm sure
yeah,
that. Aye.
yeah. I get you. It's just all complicated by the way it works. Like it kind of changes all the time. Like, and you're trying to keep track of it. And Jesus Christ, like,
It's got all these changes that are coming in. No,
mhm,
no, next season, the season next into 2 years to go, and I think that's going to be
mhm,
a
mhm,
bit of a kind of game changer even for us because somebody done an interview, the boy for UEFA done something the other day, having a wee pop at that, the breakaway league stuff and all that, and he said that they need to maintain and that smaller nations have got like as much chance to get into these competitions as that everybody kind of thing. So he's kind of tied himself in a bit of a knot, but he's always saying that Celtic will always have a kind of Celtic Scotland will always have an access to the top table kind of thing.
mhm. Well, Mark, that's what keeps the Champions League for me, Mark, interesting. Because if it's the same teams again over and over again, like getting into the group stages, Mark, I possibly will start losing interest. Do you know what I mean? If it's going to be harder and harder.
It just becomes
Yeah.
another. I mean, it's like that already, really, Paul.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And
It is.
it's just all down to money now. But that's all that Super League was, Paul, was just another money grab on the big boys wanting the big share of the pie.
You know, even for Spurs to be invited into that, Mark. Do you know what I mean?
It's just,
You know.
it's not to do with how big a club you are or how much history you've got or anything. No, it's down to is really how much money can you make us.
And it hasn't gone away, Mark. It's going to come back again.
Pop back up.
You know, it's got. I say no. Give that another.
It's there. I've just got that there, Paul. First place next season for 2023-24. First place goes into the group stage, and second place goes into the third qualifying round.
Mm-hmm.
So if we win the league, they've got 2 rounds to get through. The third qualifying round, and then the playoff round.
Perfect. Sure, just hope that they get knocked out. Should put them into more tournament. That's what it will.
Don't bother with they will just do what we do. We'll just keep on keeping on.
But that's what you said, Mark. You know, Celtic should be aiming, even if it's in the qualifiers, Mark, at least getting into the group stage every year. Pocket this money like Ajax have been doing for years. Get this money and just keep being the top team in Scottish football. That's what we just need to do.
Aye.
You know, there's no ambition there to go and win the Champions League or thing, because in my lifetime, Mark, I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
But, you know, if we can do what you always said, Mark, Celtic should always be the top team. And there might be a blip, Mark, now and then when they win the league. That's going to happen. But Celtic need to be the top team in Scotland every time. And that's I'd be happy with that, and I think every Celtic fan will be happy with that. You know?
Oh, definitely.
What do you actually think our chance will be doing the treble this season, Mark?
I don't see how, no.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. We're 9 points clear in the league as it is. So we can, I'm not saying take our foot off the gas, but there's not, who's really realistically right. I know they're going to expect a wee kind of boost because Mick Beale's come in, but I don't see why Celtic's not capable of winning the treble.
Mm-hmm.
That should be the aim,
It
especially
would be nice, wouldn't it?
Oh, it would be brilliant, especially with the disarray they're actually in.
Exactly, Mark. You know, that would be
Because when he
nail in
Mick
the
Beale's
head for
first
them,
game,
Mark,
when he
wouldn't
hit,
it?
well, I know they've got a bit of an easy go in the Scottish Cup draw, didn't they? But who knows? I mean, it's early on in his kind of the new regime kind of thing, and this new, what is it, Bilbo? I saw somebody calling it
Ball,
on
Mark.
Bilbo.
Jesus Christ, man.
We Ian Bill kicking out for a tree and that.
Jesus Christ,
But
by
no, I don't see
Ball.
why Celtic aren't capable of winning a treble, Paul.
The only Beale ball he's going to win is that mole that's on his cheek that'll probably fall off when he's rubbing the tears off his eyes. You know, that's the only Beale ball he'll be winning. You know, we let it there for tonight, lads. There's not much to talk about. Look, I suppose we got the Peter Laurel news that was kind of sprung on us this week. We'll be back again next weekend, and look, it's slowly getting closer and closer to the 17th, where Celtic take on. Is that Celtic Park, Mark? Is this?
No, it's at Aberdeen. It's up there. Aye.
Tough game to come back to, Mark, isn't this? After being away for so long, isn't it? Pittodrie's always a tough place.
Come back flying, but Paul as well.
Exactly. You know, you have
big
to like he's really
a lot of Pash Bilbo.
You know, he's actually got them playing good football, Mark. Has the Goodwin, in fairness to him. I like him, Mark. I like him as a manager, in fairness to him. I really do. He seems to be the only manager, Mark, that kind of plays Celtic at all games. Yeah, don't he? You know,
I wouldn't say I dislike the guy. I don't want him a Celtic manager.
That's why I'm not saying that.
I like him as a person and the way he comes across.
Like him as a person, he tries to play football, Mark. Do you know what I mean? He's not. He doesn't kind of sit back or play defensive kind of football. You know what I mean? Even when he was at St. Mirren, Mark, he was kind of the only manager that kind of had a go at Celtic, didn't he? He did, and that was at St. Mirren. You know, Jesus Christ. And then you have Malky McCoy then going fucking 13 men behind the ball. Even his defensive substitutes are behind the ball.
Even at the VAR guy, you hit the ball.
Yeah. You know what I found interesting there, actually? There was an interview that they were interviewing the fella Maxwell there last week, and he was saying VAR has been a success since it came in. And I was looking at him going, well, if you think it's been a success, it's going to be a long, long season for Celtic. You know, how could he say VAR was a success, Mark? You know, I even think some decisions, Mark, in this World Cup, there's about 20 minutes added on time in some of the matches there between the two halves. Be about 10 minutes at the end of the first half, and then another 10 minutes at the end of the game. You know, how could VAR be a success,
they need to get that sacked. They better not be bringing. UEFA have said they're not bringing that in. That the amount of extra time that's getting played. That's a FIFA directive about they're trying to keep the ball in play as much as possible. But I read a thing that UEFA said they'll not be bringing that in. Thank God for that.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
There's no need for that. There's no need for that carry on, Paul, man.
Jesus
10 minutes.
Christ, Mark.
Even the players must be like that. It's getting on here.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? It must be like, I've been on my arse for 45 minutes.
Every single stoppage is timed to the minute. And that exact minute is...
Big Jabber's off. See you later, Jabber, mate. I'll give you a message on the Discord, bud.
Is actually added on then to us. Jesus, Mark.
Aye. No, you don't like doing that. That's that kind of American football kind of thing, isn't it? That's what they do. Everything's...
Or maybe they're just trying to get the World Cup longer in Qatar because it won't be there for fucking another...
I read a thing, a UEFA guy came out and was talking about it. It was a FIFA thing, and that's what they're doing. It's to give... So the percentage the percentage of time the boss spends on the park's got to be such and such a thing in that. But the UEFA guy says they'll not be bringing it in, so
Christ,
that'll
man.
not affect us.
No, fuck, you couldn't stick that, boy. You know, you couldn't stick that. That's it, so lads.
Right,
Thanks very much
good night,
for
Bobby.
joining us,
Good night,
lads.
Bobby. I know, bud.
Uh,
Sorry, Paul.
You're all right. Thanks very much for joining us. We'll be back again next Sunday, hopefully. We hope Celtic don't bring another unsurprise bit of news to us. Mark will close the show.
You get people phoning in, Paul, and it's just me and you sitting here for 2 hours talking absolute garbage to each other. Come on,
I know,
Jabber,
man.
you a big shite in the bucket. When are you coming on? Rod, you've been here long enough too. You get a phone in here. Who else can we give hassle to, Paul? Bobby. No, Bobby did come on one night. Bobby did come on, give him a fair play to Bobby there.
Oh, he did, yes, he did.
Aye.
Forgot about that. Java came on the beach and we couldn't hear him.
Aye.
You know?
Aye, wait, did he phone for the beach? Wasn't it?
The beach, of all places, the fucking beach.
Look, the start of Reggie Perrin. The start of Reggie Perrin, big Jabber running about in the buff on the beach.
You know, I say he was probably like the in-betweeners, probably behind the deck of chairs that was stacked on the beach or something like that.
Right.
Mark, we close the show, Marky.
No bother. Thanks very much again, Paul, every new day. Everybody that tunes in, listens, even if you listen back to us, thanks very much. Remember, hit the like button if you know how, leave a comment and subscribe to the channel as well if you haven't, and help share it about. And just remember, our food bank collection for Christmas, it's a bit of a tough time for people. Hail, lads, good night and God bless. Thanks for joining us.